The story begins with Gretchen narrating about himself. I am a hardcore RPG addict and an ordinary gamer, playing whatever game comes my way by pouring my heart and soul into role-playing the character, without a single shred of embarrassment or regret over the role I am playing at the moment. Right now, he is facing Edmund, who roars in fury with a curse. Are those pathetic humans really only capable of turning tail and running away like that? Following that, he launches another attack aimed at Gretchen. Drop dead and get out of my sight. The stream of thoughts in his mind continues, well, at least until the moment I logged into this game. He gets attacked and bitterly evaluates this garbage game. Gretchen constantly wonders while confronting Edmund, why on earth do I have to endure this kind of pain? I just wanted to play a casual game to escape from harsh reality. His lips are tightly pursed, biting down hard enough to draw blood. In Gretchen's hand right now is a longsword, his posture overflowing with determination. Now I. This spectacle causes Edmund to burst into laughter. Can that battered body of yours still manage to stand up? That's right, just die already and spare us the trouble. What good is a pathetic loser like you anyway? He doesn't forget to add another remark, right? You want to just drop dead and get it over with, don't you? Meanwhile, Gretchen raises his weapon high while thinking to himself, I just want to quit this damned role-playing game. Pushed to his absolute limit, he lets out a loud roar, just so I can finally go home. The moment that sword swings down is the exact instant Gretchen's true desire is revealed. I want to go home. It all dates back to a brief period before the screen displayed the game's interface. User connection confirmed, followed by a short line of text. Welcome. Someone's voice echoes. Everything started with my little sister, who cheerfully ran outside thinking our father had come back. The white dress I bought her for her birthday is now dyed a deep crimson, pierced right through by a pitch-black blade that swallows even the light. Immediately afterward, a piercing shriek rings out, Irina, no. The brutal scene flashes across Gretchen's pupils, followed by Big Brother, who used to be the captain of the knighthood, and right on his heels was Big Sister, who took over the leadership position after he fell. The silver-haired girl rushes forward decisively to demand justice. The hazy memory makes Gretchen wonder, did the corners of her eyes shed tears back then? Even if they did, those tears would have quickly been drowned out by tears of blood. A grotesque hand reaches out from behind toward Gretchen, and my mother screams something or other, frantically pushing him backward. Run, hurry up, child. Was the thing in my mother's hand at that moment a kitchen knife or father's sword? Gretchen at that time was crying uncontrollably and screaming, please, I'm a knight too. But his desperate attempts to join the fight achieve nothing. No, you have to run right now. The massacre continues, and I think our father must have come back as well. And then Gretchen can confirm that my memories after that point are completely blurred. All I know is I grabbed a sword. Next, the surrounding world suddenly turns blood red, then shifts to pure white, and finally plunges back into darkness, until illuminated only by the faint moonlight. The blade pierces straight into my right arm, sinking deep into the flesh. Gretchen's footsteps stagger to the point where he can barely even stand. Right after that, he loses his balance and falls to the ground. At this moment, a deeply eerie voice echoes from behind. What a perfect vessel. The demonic hand reaches out toward Gretchen despite his desperate plays. No. This guy touches Gretchen's face and continues. You're going to become someone truly great, right? He can only shed tears, helplessly begging from the bottom of his heart, I beg of you. Hoping for a soul strong enough to tame this evil nature, an entity powerful enough not to bow before evil. Someone who can stand up and conquer the fiends, please, manifest yourself. Do you hear my call? Returning to the present, Gretchen startles awake with a gasp. He still hasn't fully recovered his wits from these memories. Unexpectedly, George's utterly impatient voice rings out, cutting off his train of thought. Hey pal, are you planning to get off the carriage or what? The place where Gretchen has stopped is none other than the Tatara trading post. He offers no verbal response to George, nor displays any emotion. But when Gretchen suddenly stands up, the man startles. Damn, you scared me. He gets off the carriage decisively, without uttering a single word. Gretchen's feet touch the ground in a leisurely manner. George watches his retreating back, and cannot help feeling so annoyed that he mutters a curse at the hateful, arrogant jerk. Even upon hearing those words, Gretchen maintains a completely expressionless face. But the truth is, inside his heart, he is already screaming endlessly, holy crap, peak role-playing right there. When watching the opening cutscene, I honestly thought that was genuinely my own past. The realistic sensation leading into the newbie tutorial is simply top tier, and on top of that, these NPCs look and act as vivid as real living people. If allowed, I probably would have started dancing wildly right in the middle of the street. With the game starting off this strong, Will I even be able to maintain my character persona? Gretchen gazes into the space before him and continues thinking. The game was just released today, and this place, Tatara Trading Post, is the starting area. 15 years ago, this tragic masterpiece of a family-focused game was shut down after running for just 5 years, and what I'm experiencing right now is its VR remake. I am a gamer who has patiently yearned for this game's resurrection, and also a true role-playing fanatic. Gretchen clutches his face and mutters a critique. My eyes hurt so much. But afterward he has to ask himself, wait a minute, normally I never bother adding this kind of edgelord symbol. I just tried it on a whim out of itchy fingers. Even though I'm just an ordinary casual gamer, I'm not some Chunabiu kid trying to look cool. By this point, everyone's probably curious about what kind of character persona I'm role-playing, right? Not curious. Whatever, listen anyway because it is insanely cool. He even prepared a specific drawing. Let me show you the character sketch I drew myself. Gretchen continues unhurriedly. My character class is Demon Knight, difficulty. Hard, Demon Knight. When the demon that slaughtered his family takes up residence in his arm, he turns his back on the righteous path of knighthood to begin a wandering journey. Even though he utterly detests the demon in his right arm, it grants him extraordinary power. He uses that very power to hunt down all kinds of demons. He utilizes swift and ferocious moves that match his violent yet sensitive personality. The demon that killed my family is currently residing in this arm, and I have no clue when it might consume me. Gretchen keeps thinking of another grim scenario, and once I am completely controlled by it, the people around me will also meet the exact same end as my family did back then, killed by none other than my own hands. Gretchen affirms once more, terrified of that scenario coming to pass, I keep my distance from everyone, because I live in constant dread of being consumed, leaving my nerves strung tight like a taut wire. I mask my inner isolation and anxiety behind an icy, piercing exterior. Right now he happily tells himself, and that is precisely my character's image, isn't it? I spent a fortune putting together this outfit, but I don't regret it at all. This trench coat fluttering in the wind, this armored left arm clanking as it moves. Gretchen's little hop in the middle of the street prompts the surrounding people to wonder, what's wrong with that guy? Is he trying to use the restroom out here? This is exactly why I love playing RPG. Hearing that, he immediately regains his icy composure, wasting too much time getting caught up in self-absorption. Now let the real role-playing begin. What am I supposed to do next anyway? Let's see, normally a quest board should have popped up by now, right? Waiting for a while, Gretchen still sees nothing. Where's the minimap? Where's the quest log? What the heck, do I have to sit here and wait for an NPC to drive the plot to me? But unexpectedly, a voice rings out from behind. Excuse me, are you the adventurer known as the Demon Knight? Gretchen rejoices inwardly, here we go. He slowly turns around to face the person who called out to him. Although his expression remains completely blank on the outside, inside he is frantically wondering, no dialogue choices at all. I thought at least some keywords would pop up for me to reply with. There's usually a prompt, right? The young boy standing opposite him finally speaks up, is it really you, sir? Gretchen replies coldly, yes, that is indeed me. Following that, he lowers his voice to issue a command, lead the way. His unapproachable appearance scares the boy, who obediently agrees, yes, sir. The boy turns around and begins leading the way. You're looking for the Adventurers Guild, right? Please follow me. Gretchen follows behind, observing and assessing inwardly. Look how meek this kid is. He acts just like a real-life child. He imagines greeting him in a friendly manner. Don't be so scared. Big bro is super friendly. As they walk, Gretchen remarks, how on earth did they design humans and city streets with this level of unbelievable realism? Various conversations echo all around. You have to pay extra, but then the profit margins, the rebels, the demons. He adds another evaluation, just like that NPC worker earlier. These lines don't sound like pre-programmed dialogue at all, but rather real-time reaction. But no matter how real it feels, they're just NPCs in a game. VR technology hasn't been commercialized for long, yet its development speed is truly mind-blowing. The boy finally stops at a certain spot. We've arrived, sir. Gretchen casts a glance around, slowly surveying the area. This crowded place is the Tatara Adventurers Guild. The boy approaches and quickly speaks up, front desk, I've brought the adventurer here. Inside Gretchen's mind, a frantic screaming matches the scene. Holy cow, are these sound effects and graphics for real? Look at that floor texture. Even the sensation of stepping on it is identical to walking on actual wooden planks. Could the developers have kidnapped aliens to force them into making this game? Greeting him as Israel, you have arrived, sir. She smiles and introduces herself. It's a pleasure to meet you. I am Israel, receptionist of the Tatara Adventurers Guild. Your appearance is so striking that I recognized you immediately. You must be the Demon Knight, right? According to standard procedure, could you please show me your adventurer badge? Gretchen glances at the notification window appearing beside him. Inventory. You can open your inventory by reaching your hand out into empty space, thinking of the item you want to retrieve, and clenching your fists. He confusedly mutters to himself, "Hey, having it pop up right in my field of vision like this makes it hard to see where I'm going, especially since I can only see out of one good eye. Everything else is absolute perfection, yet it glitches out on the status screen placement. I guess human error still leaves a few flaws." Gretchen takes out the badge, and a moment later, Israel responds promptly, "Yes, verification complete. May I lead you to take on a request right now, because the client is in an extremely critical situation." Hearing this, he slowly agrees, "Lead the way." Following Israel, Gretchen is overwhelmingly excited. The long-awaited newbie quest is finally here. If it follows the original storyline, I already know almost everything that's about to happen, yet I still feel so nervous. However, when Vincent lays eyes on him, a remark is uttered. "This guy looks even more freakish than the rumors suggest." There probably isn't a second person on Earth with such an unlucky face, but at least that makes him easy to recognize. So you accepted a request without even knowing the details. Is that bravery or a death wish? His blunt way of speaking prompts Israel beside him to issue a warning, "Guild Master." While Gretchen thinks to himself, "Wow, this old NPC has a seriously fiery and aggressive temper." But it doesn't matter because this old man is just a bunch of programmed code, meaning I can freely flame a virtual old man without a shred of guilt. Though Gretchen immediately reconsiders, "Wait, in some cases if your affinity points aren't high enough, they won't hand out quests, but since this is the tutorial area, he's bound to give it to me anyway, right?" Meanwhile, Vincent keeps pressing, "Are you deaf? Why are you just standing there like a statue?" Israel hurriedly steps in to stop him. "Guild Master, please watch your language." By this time, he has figured it out. "All right, I've got my line ready." Gretchen is deeply immersed in character as he delivers his declaration. "Your tongue is truly insolent." Both Israel and Vincent drop their jaws in shock upon hearing those words. Their reaction confuses him. Wait, why are these NPCs acting so surprised? But immediately afterward, Gretchen rationalizes it to himself. Could it be that these NPCs, come to think of it, I should have realized that right from the start. Before his eyes is Vincent's information, Guild Master of the Mabel Trading Chamber. Let's see if you can keep that arrogant expression after hearing the details. Follow me, reading up to this point. Gretchen wonders, by now the quest plot should have triggered, shouldn't it? The next person to speak is Israel, Demon Knight. Did you really accept the mission without knowing the details? He evaluates inwardly. If I feel like doing it, the game plot forces me to do it. But this realistic reaction is something an RPG addict like me loves to bits. Thank you very much. Role-playing is part of the gaming experience too. After thinking for a moment, Gretchen slowly speaks up, so. His attitude clearly reveals dissatisfaction. You mean the thing I'm about to deal with could cost me my life? Gretchen even glares at them in challenge, those pathetic pieces of trash. Israel is completely terrified upon seeing this reaction. Fortunately, Vincent cuts in at that moment. Instead of talking nonsense, hurry up and hand over the job. If you don't mind taking this on, we'd be more than glad to assign it to you. Philip steps in to present the details on his behalf. Something unusual is happening in the underground sewers. We sent several workers down there, but not a single one returned, according to those who went down afterward. They claim a monster nest has occupied the deep interior. I don't think those missing workers are still alive, so the mission is to exterminate the monster nest and retrieve their corpses or belongings. At this point, Vincent chimes in. The monster hunters who went before all perished down there, while the temple drags its feet, constantly saying we have to wait longer. We called you here because we heard you had skills, but with that slender build of yours, can you even lift a sword? His thoughtless question forces Israel to interject, Guild Master. But the truth is Gretchen is secretly wondering, why hasn't the quest window shown up yet? Do I have to accept it first for it to appear? He slowly speaks up, don't compare me to those weaklings, it's just cleaning up a sewer. That confident statement annoys Vincent, so arrogant. Philip hurriedly calls out, Guild Master. Gretchen merely chuckles inwardly, dodging their gazes. I'm definitely doing this on purpose, but his reaction feels so genuine that it almost makes me want to explain myself properly. Oh well, whatever, a surreal NPC like this is still better than listening to other players complain. Once again, Israel speaks up to finalize things, so you are accepting this quest, correct? Gretchen confirms decisively, that's right. She begins processing the paperwork mechanically. All right, let me draft the contract. The quest objective is to eliminate the monsters polluting the sewers, and the sub-objective is to recover the workers' belongings. Next, Israel turns to ask Philip how many workers haven't returned. He quickly provides the information, 13 people in total. She continues asking, what is the quest deadline? Philip details it 1 month, but since you traveled all this way here, I'll grant you 2 extra days. Meanwhile, Gretchen thinks to himself, traveling all this way and the quest board still hasn't popped up. having to rely entirely on conversation to push the plot forward, the developers must really be gunning for a hyper-realistic experience. Israel smiles as she mentions the compensation. The reward is 400,000 gal. After deducting the guild's 5% commission fee, you will receive 380,000 gal, an impressive figure that shocks him. 380,000. For a newbie quest, the reward is this high. Wait, why is there a commission fee deduction though? It's just in-game money anyway. 5% is no big deal, but why do I still feel a pang in my heart? What is this sense of loss? She beams and adds once the paperwork is finalized, the contract is all set. Whenever you report the quest completion, just come to the guild and look for me. Israel turns to Vincent to get his final signature, sir. Please sign here as well. At this moment, an information window finally appears before Gretchen. It finally showed up. The quest details cover the sewer contaminants and monster extermination, with the subquest being artifact retrieval. Reading this, he is somewhat surprised. I actually had to sign the contract before the quest board would deign to show up. The developers are absolute perverts. But this setup makes Gretchen feel immensely satisfied. You know what? I actually kind of like this style. Philip pipes up from behind once again. I've booked a lodging under the trading chamber's name, and someone from the guild will guide you there. This is the sewer map. You don't need to return it. Seeing the paper laid out, he is slightly surprised. Even the minimap is a physical handmade item. At this moment, Philip solemnly declares, then I'll leave everything in your capable hands. Gretchen observes him and evaluates, showing worry for someone who might make a one-way trip, yet maintaining the gaze and tone of someone fulfilling their duty. The NPCs are designed with astonishingly intricate detail. This is so thrilling. It feels like I'm about to step onto a theater stage. Then he simply replies with an icy remark. Once I've taken the money, failure is absolute, not an option. The iron gate slowly lifts. Gretchen is now fully prepared to head outside. The gatekeeper doesn't forget to call out after him. I'm counting on you. Those monsters have been giving me a massive headache. Gretchen mutters silently in response. Yeah, I know. The weapon he wields is the Destroyer Greatsword, a colossal blade capable of crushing and shattering any obstacle, spreading terror to any enemy blocking his path. Upon leaving the gate, Gretchen tests his weapon, killing a rat, but its squeak startles him. His expression is utter bewilderment. Wait, why is it so loud? Did its durability drop already? I swear I barely tapped it. The sword's durability is 99 out of 100. Gretchen calculates further. Sewers are probably cramped. Using a weapon this huge makes it easy to snap it halfway through. I'd better switch to something else. He switches to another weapon, a longsword, the most widely used type of sword with great balance and high versatility. Gretchen thinks with great satisfaction, all right, now I'm truly ready for the hunt, and then he slowly walks away. Oscar watches Gretchen's retreating back and mutters a remark. This guy is truly as scary as the rumors say. His aura is the strongest among all the demon hunters I have ever met. If only his actual capability was as top-notch as his appearance. As time goes on, Gretchen becomes thoroughly annoyed. You filthy demons. He continuously unleashes decisive slashes. Come on, bring it on, you damned pest. His footwork is lightning fast and exceptionally precise. Gretchen wipes out this pack of goblins as easily as turning over his hand. His gaze burns with intense determination. I'm going to send you all packing right back to the cesspool you crawled out of. The carcasses of the goblins litter the ground. Gretchen remarks as he strides forward. How boring, not a single shred of challenge. The quest information pops up before him. Sewer contaminants, exterminating the demons, retrieving artifacts, searching for traces of fallen adventurers, rescuing the child. Gretchen mutters as he walks. I can't believe they let things pile up this bad before finally deciding to deal with it. The train of thought inside his mind is wonderfully rich. Besides, how can I hunt this many demons and not have a single piece of equipment drop? This garbage game is way too stingy. No wonder the newbie quest pays so much money. Turns out it's because they refuse to drop any loot at all. Gretchen even contemplates doing something reckless. Getting so frustrated, he wants to loot the corpses himself for some quick cash. He stops and looks up at someone bound tightly by vines, but the current situation is a bit awkward, because this kid is staring straight at me anyway. After that, Gretchen decisively cuts through all the vines and effortlessly grabs Pow by the leg. Though stuck in an uncomfortable posture, the boy politely speaks up. Thank you, sir, successfully fulfilling one part of the Rescue the Child quest objective. Gretchen observes the counterpart and evaluates inwardly. This kid looks a bit older than the little sister in the opening cutscene, doesn't he? Speaking of my character's backstory, who would have thought the demon that killed my little sister is parasitizing right inside my own body? It's a sheer miracle I haven't gone insane yet, though my character profile merely lists me as having a sensitive personality. At any rate, I've saved this kid. unlike my poor little sister, who had to die such a miserable death. I'm not the type to babble cheesy lines like, "This kid reminds me of my little sister," but my character should probably be a little gentler toward children, right? But before touching the counterpart, Gretchen questions himself. Wait, wouldn't it be a bit much to pat his head with this demon-tainted hand? Protecting the weak is ultimately a knight's duty after all. Hearing this, Pow asks unhurriedly, "Are you a knight, sir?" He simply turns his head and lazily admits, of course, "I won't be rude to kids," partly due to the character persona, and partly because of these hyper-realistic NPCs. Walking together while chatting, "Why did you get stuck in a place like this, kid?" Pow explains simply, "My mother came down here to clean the sewers and never came back," and then even takes the blame upon himself. "So I came down here to look for her. I'm sorry." Hearing this, Gretchen is completely touched. "Oh man, this sounds so heartbreaking. Children ought to be happy, right?" But on the outside, he maintains an icy tone of reprimand. "This is no place for you. You should have trusted adults and waited obediently instead." The boy stammers out an apology. "I'm sorry." This reaction makes Gretchen just want to hug Pow and comfort him. Oh man, this kid didn't do anything wrong. Why is he apologizing? Sneaking down here to look for mom only to suffer in a wretched hole like this makes me want to cry right along with. Outwardly, he cautions, "Don't apologize to me. I'm not someone worthy of that apology." Let's try giving the newly found artifacts to the child and see what happens. The child recognizes his mother's belongings. The boy is sobbing so pitifully. I don't have the heart to tell him to hush, yet leaving him here alone is out of the question. I have no choice but to tuck the exhausted kid under my arm and carry him outside. I've heard VR games use motion capture from real actors to create NPCs. They must have hired a stellar child actor to pull off this kind of raw emotion, right? Even knowing it's fake, it's so hard to treat it as fake. Once again, Gretchen sighs, truly, thank goodness this is just a game. At this moment, an information window appears before him. Purification. Demon-infested areas can be cleansed by incinerating them with holy power or pure flames. If purification is left incomplete, the demons will respawn. Please ensure that demons never manifest on this land again. Gretchen tells himself inwardly, if I had bothered to read this notification, prompt a little more carefully back then, would I feel even a tiny bit less regret later on? Patrick bursts inside with a loud shout, requesting reinforcement. A distress flare from our trading chamber was just fired right nearby. He reports in exhaustive detail, a red flare, there are heavy casualties. Patrick even tacks on an exclamation, the situation is critical. Meanwhile, an immense number of people have already perished over on this side. Those who survived are hiding in absolute terror, their faces etched with utter horror. Gretchen's narration opens up another tale. A short while ago, after emerging from the sewers, the child finally regained his senses, cheerfully speaking up. My mother is right beside God and happy now, isn't she, sir? Hearing this, he thinks to himself, if there's a God in this world, it's definitely the game developer. But unless those game devs are absolute perverts, she's bound to be happy, which is rather concerning. Israel greets the two of them with an inscrutable expression, adventurer, what brings you here? She tilts her head in confusion. What's with that kid? Gretchen explains Pow's background concisely. He's a worker's kid. Heard he blindly snuck down into the sewers to look for his parents. Go ask him yourself if you want detail. He then hands over a pouch. Take this too. Israel receives it with a puzzled expression. What is this? Gretchen watches her and thinks to himself, I was just about to show it to her and she snatched it right away. It's almost as heavy as a real kid, no joke. Israel curiously asks further, this is. Hearing this, he explains unhurriedly, the recovered belongings of this kid's mother are in there too. This answer leaves her somewhat bewildered. Are these the belongings of all 13 people? Gretchen frowns and asks back perplexedly, what else does it look like? Israel immediately changes her attitude. No, I'll transfer these to the client and verify their identities. She begins inspecting the contents, and this bunch of adventurer badges too. Israel's expression softens noticeably. She lifts the bag and speaks up, on behalf of the guild, I wish to express our deepest gratitude to you, sir. Gretchen thinks to himself, if you're going to thank me, mean it sincerely. I had to fumble around the entire sewer without a single target waypoint the whole time. At that moment he had struggled immensely. Where the heck did the waypoints go? So much for hyperrealism. But hearing her thank him with such a choked-up voice softens his irritation. An immersion level this high is genuinely terrifying. At this point, Israel speaks up once more. So your hunting trip for today ends here then? This question leaves Gretchen utterly baffled. What's this girl saying? When has a gamer ever stopped grinding? Seeing him stay silent, Israel shifts topics. Are you planning to head back into the sewers? Though resting for a bit might be better. This question shocks Gretchen even further. Rest? Rest for what? I smashed open my piggy bank to prep for an all-night gaming binge. Wait, what is an all-night gaming binge anyway? It's locking yourself inside a gaming pod for over 24 hours straight without caring about food or sleep. The neural transceivers for hardcore grinding cost a bloody fortune. Or could there still be some hidden linked quest down in the sewers? Is that line a subtle hint telling me to go rest and come back because this questline is long? I don't quite get what you mean. Why on earth would I need to go back down into that sewer? But then Gretchen makes a guess. Could it be about the purification? I just rushed back up because I was afraid of getting hit by gas damage. Are you trying to give me a quest? Do you mean to make me handle the purification job too? However, Israel looks completely blank and clueless. What? Purification? She asks back in confusion, just asking to be safe. Have you completely dealt with all the demons in the sewer? Hearing this, Gretchen questions her right back, of course. What did you think I bothered coming all the way back here for? Israel stammers out her thoughts to return this child. He asks himself in confusion, I didn't even clear that place out that fast, yet her reaction is so dramatic. How annoying is she looking down on me? The displeasure in his expression makes Israel immediately deny it. I definitely didn't mean to look down on you, sir. My sincerest apologies, honorable adventure. As for the child you just saved, we'll take responsibility for looking after him. Please wait a moment while I go invite the quest client over. Follow me. Gretchen decides to fiddle with his status window. While waiting, I might as well check my skill tree and that level up from earlier. Several notification pop-ups appear. Sewer contaminants. Speak further with the client. Israel places a glowing money pouch on the table. This is your quest reward, 400,000 gal. Seeing it, Gretchen is completely overwhelmed. These game devs are vicious. Looks like money really can only be earned through doing quests. They poured all their effort into the game's realism. Remembering 15 years ago, doing quests paid pennies, and you always had to make money by picking up drops from monsters. Philip is the one who explains the subsequent procedures. We will cover the brokerage fee ourselves, and will also buy back any spoils obtained from the demons at a good price. Hearing this, he continues thinking, come to think of it. Isn't there a corpse dismembering skill among the lifestyle skills? Looks like I could have cashed in on that too. Oh well, even knowing beforehand, I still would have chosen combat skills anyway. The reason is that pocket change from those pests isn't worth bothering with. That remark truly reflects Gretchen's purpose. Exactly, a hardcore roleplayer has to choose character skills that match the persona they're playing. Besides, Legend of Heroes isn't a party-based game. It's a single-player game, meaning I can pick whatever I like without stressing over team composition. Hopefully, more badass skills will unlock later, just like these ones here. Gretchen doesn't forget to remind himself, but to make that happen I need to breeze through the plot to level up quickly, and then he speaks to the staff. Is that all the work there is here? Following that, Gretchen turns around to leave. Well then, there's no reason to stay anymore, I'm heading out. At this moment, a notification window pops up before him. Sewer contaminants, quest completed. Right then, a voice echoes from outside. Guildmaster, are you in there? There's an emergency. Vincent asks back bluntly, is your ass on fire or something that you have to come barreling in here like a runaway horse? However, Patrick steps inside with an extremely rushed expression. There's an emergency rescue request. He details the situation. A distress flare from our trading chamber was just fired nearby. Vincent gasps in shock. What? Patrick continues explaining the situation. We notified the guards of the holy city, but they move at a snail's pace. At this moment, Gretchen thinks to himself inwardly, classic early game trope, quickly triggering the next quest chain. Hearing those words, Vincent surges forward. How much tax money do those bastards eat up just to do a half-assed job? Send our people immediately. He even urges Gretchen, you go too. Inwardly, he replies, yeah, I'm going, but at least let me finish saying the line I prepared first. Yet outwardly, he tries to maintain his icy demeanor. Don't give me orders. As soon as he finishes speaking, Vincent bluntly cuts him off. This is a favor, you brat. I'll pay you a handsome reward, so get going and come back fast. Gretchen walks toward the door while calling back over his shoulder. Contract established. Lead the way. Patrick promptly responds, yes, sir. While Israel adds, safe travels. We'll have the contract ready and waiting for when you get back. Quest info pops up right after. Victims, choice, rendezvous with mercenaries. Move to the combat area. Eliminate attackers. Bonus reward, number of survivors. Seeing this, Gretchen thinks with satisfaction, sweet, the quest board finally popped up. Patrick suggests at this moment, now let's go rendezvous with the mercenaries. However, he cuts in, no need, lead me straight to where people are needed. Gretchen's gaze focuses on the last line of the quest board, looks like a bad omen. No matter how you look at it, this is a race against time. There's no time to go rendezvous with mercenaries. Vincent chimes in from behind once more, just let him go. If he could clear out the sewer all by himself, he won't die that easily. This information startles Patrick. What? while Gretchen himself is immensely satisfied. Spot on, old man. Patrick quickly leads the way. Well then, let's set off immediately. Horses are ready right nearby. Hearing this, inwardly he is filled with eager excitement. Horseback riding. Piece of cake. I've got quite a bit of clout in horse riding simulation games, no joke. Gretchen mutters to himself, hang in there until I arrive. Oh, my precious experience points. The sky at this moment takes on a deadly shade of crimson. Horse hooves pound heavily against the ground. Both man and horse charge swiftly through the forest. Gretchen joins the fray from who knows when. Victory belongs to my blade. The sword in his hand is wielded with masterful skill. The goblins meet their demise the moment they cross paths with Gretchen. His face wears a serious expression as he delivers his declaration, and glory belongs to the heaven. The victims chime in one after another, shouting, reinforcements are here. Wait, just one person. Is he the vanguard? Please save me. Several of them struggle to hold on. No, stay back. Reinforcements have finally arrived. I can't die here. Suddenly, the goblin standing right in front is struck down. Gretchen dismounts the horse with decisive finality. Afterward, he darts forward like an arrow. The spot Gretchen targets is the densest concentration of goblins. Upon getting close, he slows down slightly while speaking up. You just begged for your life, didn't you? Then I'll grant you your wish. A promise follows right after. I'm going to slaughter every last one of these bastards before you bleed out. The counterpart responds in confusion, all by yourself. Gretchen continues unhurriedly, not even worth my answer. His eyes flash with flickers of red light. With immense momentum, Gretchen shouts, I'm going to tear you all to pieces, you pests. He unleashes multiple slashes, shattering the goblin's formation. Gretchen successfully breaks through their encirclement, all by himself. Innocent civilians can only watch with wide-eyed shock. His appearance looks unusual at this moment. Someone suddenly cries out, that person is. They look at Gretchen with a hint of fear, a monster. From another direction, a voice rings out, what is this bloodlust? The Inquisitor states unhurriedly, Archmage, tomorrow as soon as the sun rises, we must immediately head out to the Tatara trading post. A question echoes back to her, why is that? The Inquisitor simply explains, I sensed an extremely powerful wave of demonic energy in that direction. The system appears. Victims, choice, move to the combat area, eliminate attackers, bonus reward, number of survivors, 30 out of 52. Gretchen thinks to himself, I knew the game was hyper-realistic, but did they really have to make monster flesh splatter right into my mouth like this? A young adventurer speaks up, I don't know who you are, but thank you so much, thanks to your help. Abruptly, Gretchen hears piercing screams. This is corruption by demonic energy. Abruptly, Gretchen hears piercing screams. This is corruption by demonic energy. The system continues to pop up. As the corruption level increases, the body suffers various debuffs with a risk of mutating into a demon. The young adventurer from earlier anxiously asks, is there no cure? Another guy replies, we have sedatives, but Gretchen thinks to himself, right, the original game had this kind of system too. In the original game, every time you took damage from demons, the corruption gauge would increase by a set percentage. Demonic corruption accumulates in increments of 20%, 30%, 40%, all the way up to 100%. Gretchen thinks to himself, but because the Demon Knight class is completely immune to this, I completely forgot about it. The reason being that Demon Knights are individuals already possessed by demons to begin with. Gretchen feels secretly pleased anyway. My pouch happens to have a few items quite useful for this. Since rewards scale based on the number of survivors, I might as well pull them out and use them. He quickly reaches his hand into his equipment pouch, and a screen showcasing various items pops up. Gretchen hands a bottle of medicine to the young adventurer. Take this. The young guy asks in surprise, can I really have this? The system appears, demonic corruption antidote, a spiritual elixir capable of cleansing demonic energy corroding the human body. It subdues the madness caused by demons and grants temporary peace. The young guy hurriedly replies, this, thank you so much. Gretchen speaks up, use it, and then tosses the antidote, bandages, and sedatives toward the guy. The young fellow stammers awkwardly, oh wow, thank you very much. The young adventurer loudly calls out, hey everyone, this noble person just gave us medicine and bandages. Hurry up and gather everyone who's corrupted and wounded over here. Gretchen feels secretly satisfied. No wonder the game handed out so many newbie items. Turns out they're meant to be used in situations like this. The system pops up. Victims, choice, move to the combat area, eliminate attackers, bonus reward, number of survivors, 27 out of 52. Gretchen thinks to himself, is there anything else left to do? The number of survivors seems capped at this point. Suddenly, he heard the sound of approaching horses, and everyone around him looked overjoyed as they cried out that reinforcements had arrived. The system notification appeared. The stranded, complete task. Gretchen thought to himself, oh, the completion notice finally popped up. The system continued to update. The stranded part 2, collect 25 corpses and retrieve their personal belongings. This time, Gretchen really didn't understand what the system was up to, and he wondered, do I have to go clean up this battlefield all over again? The system kept displaying the exact same information, and Gretchen just stared at it in silent helplessness. A wave of anger and wounded pride washed over him. A moment later, Gretchen crossed his arms and leaned back against a tree trunk. He thought to himself, well, it looks like whatever these NPCs do still counts toward my quest progress, so I might as well just stand here and watch. The two reinforcements muttered with annoyance, so what if he handled all those monsters by himself? His arrogant attitude is so annoying. Look at that smug expression of his, standing there with his arms crossed. Externally, Gretchen maintained his cold demeanor, but inside, he felt quite satisfied, thinking, keep grumbling and cursing all you want. After all, you guys are just NPCs anyway. Kicking back and taking it easy while watching others do the work feels amazing. One of the reinforcements felt uncomfortable under his gaze and thought, why do I feel like? Suddenly, one of the reinforcements spoke up. Why are these demons? I never thought I'd have to go through something this terrifying in the West. If it were barbarians attacking, at least I could understand it. Gretchen thought, judging by how they're weaving in all these detailed lines of dialogue, this is probably paving the way for the next main storyline. The two reinforcements continued their discussion. Some of the corpses are missing. What do you mean? Dead bodies can't just walk away on their own. I don't know, but even counting the mutilated remains, the total number is still way too low. One of them advised, let's just head back to the city for now. Our own lives are what matter most. The other spoke up bitterly. They collect so much tax from the people, yet they can't even be bothered to properly clear out these monsters. This time, I'm definitely going to see the city lord to file a complaint and demand compensation. Gretchen thought missing corpses. This definitely has to do with demon worshippers or dark mages. This is bound to lead to a chain quest tracking down the mastermind. Suddenly, one of the reinforcements called out to him, hey, cleanup's done, let's head back. The system notification appeared. The stranded part 2, collect corpses, 2525, retrieve belongings, 3030. Gretchen quickly approached the carriage and said, let's go. Scene change, Vincent spoke slowly, good job. Gretchen replied, just make sure the reward is paid in full. Vincent answered irritably, do you take me for someone poor enough to scam an adventurer? Wait. He suddenly slammed his cane hard against the floor. Ah, and also. Vincent glanced at Gretchen. I want to assign you another task. He immediately replied, let's hear it. Philip spoke up, Guildmaster, does our commercial firm really have any urgent business right now that requires hearing new mercenaries? Vincent snapped back angrily. What else could it be? To wipe out those demons, of course. The location is the Northwest Forest. Israel hurried to say, Lord Guildmaster, wasn't that area already assigned to other adventurers from our guild? Vincent scolded her furiously. I have to do this because we haven't heard back from them at all about finishing the job. Do you have any idea how many people rely on that Northwest Forest to make a living? I don't have the time to sit around and wait anymore. Now that I've seen his capability with my own eyes, I've decided to send him. Gretchen thought this old man might be blunt and rough around the edges, but he's actually a good guy who cares about others. I quite like these kind of old man character tropes. He spoke up. So you mean I just need to go eliminate the demon in the Northwest Forest, right? Israel replied, that's right. If you're that resolute, I'll process the quest handover immediately. However, regarding the adventurers who set out previously, Vincent cut her off harshly. They botched the job and got themselves thrown out. What does that have to do with us? What do you expect me to do about it? Philip helplessly watched the two of them argue while Gretchen kept a blank expression. Israel answered Vincent, well, you'll still have to pay the contract cancellation fee out of your own pocket. Philip spoke up, then I'll take it that you agree to accept this mission. A moment later, Philip told Gretchen, it's getting late. I'll guide you to an inn to rest, and we can discuss the job details on the way. Scene changed to the morning of the next day, which was a beautiful sunny day. The system notification appeared, danger lurking in the Northwest Forest. Move to the Northwest Forest. Gretchen was sitting inside a carriage being transported to the location. He silently cursed the game developers. What kind of messed up game is this? Did they really have to make the leg soreness feature this realistic too? Riding in a carriage for 10 straight hours. Does this trash game seriously not have a travel skip feature? What kind of glory and riches was I expecting that led me to put myself through this miserable role-playing torture? The young boy sitting beside him looked at him with eyes full of admiration, which made Gretchen feel rather proud. Hang in there, just hang in there. Once I get through this quest, there's a double wealth event waiting. Scene changed back to the early morning of that same day. After spending the night at the inn, a formal contract had been drawn up under the guidance of Mabel, the commercial firm's assistant. Philip spoke. I won't rush you to set out today, but I hope you can resolve it as quickly as possible. Gretchen coldly replied, Name the reward. Philip quickly answered, The bounty on that monster's head is 700,000 gal. Gretchen felt a surge of excitement. Oh, the quest reward is as high as 700,000 gal, but outwardly he kept a blank face. And Philip replied, Since this is a private hired contract, I'll personally reward you an extra 200,000 gal out of my own pocket if you bring back its head. Gretchen was extremely astonished by this information. However, he felt a bit helpless at Philip's expression. No, I meant, and, as in is that how we're just going to sign the contract. Wait, negotiation skill level up. My skill suddenly leveled up out of nowhere, and I hadn't even bothered putting points into negotiation yet. However, he felt a bit helpless at Philip's expression. No, I meant, and, as in is that how we're just going to sign the contract. Wait, negotiation skill level up. My skill suddenly leveled up out of nowhere, and I hadn't even bothered putting points into negotiation yet. Philip immediately raised his voice. Fine, I'll add another 300,000 gal, and that's my absolute limit. Gretchen felt a long exclamation burst out of him internally. Mom, your son seems to have a natural talent for getting rich. Should I keep up this badass persona in real life too? However, contrasting with his inner excitement, Gretchen coldly replied, Understood, have the money ready. I'll be setting off immediately. Philip hurriedly called out, Wait, are you leaving right now? You can completely take a day to rest before heading out. Gretchen answered, I don't have time to waste when demons are running about. Scene change back to the present. He was already sitting inside the carriage. Gretchen calculated internally, once I grind to max level and have nothing better to do, I'll go check out the real estate trading feature in the game. I bet it's made super high-end. The young boy suddenly asked, Sir, you're an adventurer, right? Gretchen thought, actually, this character only joined the Adventurers Guild to make money, but he probably doesn't consider himself a real adventurer, more like a lonely, wandering avenger. No, I am not. The young boy awkwardly lowered his gaze and replied, Oh, I see. Gretchen felt a pang of guilt. Whoa, was my reply too blunt? He quickly continued, But I do similar kinds of work. Is there something you wanted to ask, kid? The young boy immediately asked eagerly, have you ever seen the ocean? Gretchen felt a wave of amusement. Oh my goodness, how cute is this? The game designers did an amazing job with child NPCs. Their expressions and gestures are identical to real kids. Yet he answered impassively, I have. The boy wondered, What does the ocean look like, sir? Gretchen replied, It's as azure blue as your eyes with gentle waves rolling just like your hair. The boy was surprised. My eyes look like the ocean. Gretchen answered, That's right. A moment later, Gretchen mentally noted, Though my backside is a bit sore from the journey, the trip to the Northwest Forest was fairly peaceful. Even I never expected that in that place. At the forest, he quickly raised his weapon to parry an attack. The girl attacking him, an inquisitor, roared with rage. Born as a human being, yet you dare to brazenly betray the Lord. In the name of God, I shall punish you. Gretchen was inwardly shocked. I actually crossed paths with this exact person. Gretchen began to venture deeper into the Northwest Forest. Suddenly, a system screen popped up in front of him. The system displayed, Enemy detection. Detecting enemies is the most fundamental element in combat. It allows you to spot killing intent. Gretchen felt happy thinking, I was wondering how long it would take to find the demon in this massive forest, but having a support skill makes a total difference. The system abruptly turned red. Hostile target detected within a 10-meter radius. Gretchen stopped dead in his tracks in surprise at this information. He thought, what the hell that fast? The Inquisitor roared, born as a human being, yet you dare to brazenly betray the Lord. In the name of God, she suddenly lunged forward toward him. The Inquisitor's eyes glowed brightly, and she held a weapon in her hand, preparing to attack. Gretchen instantly widened his eyes in shock at this bizarre situation. He hurriedly reached out to grab the sword on his back. Gretchen swiftly drew his sword and blocked the attack from the Inquisitor as she screamed, I will punish you. Gretchen thought that strike had some serious weight to it. My sword's durability is definitely going to plummet like a rock. He slashed forward fiercely, knocking the Inquisitor stumbling backward. The Inquisitor quickly checked her momentum and came to a halt. She stared at him coldly, her lips pressed into a determined line. Gretchen finally had time to observe the Inquisitor, someone from the church. The Inquisitor replied, That's right, I'm here to execute you. Gretchen couldn't understand what on earth was happening anymore. A train of thought ran through his head. A priest is coming to execute me. Why? Meanwhile, Gretchen replied with a blank face, The church I know is supposed to be a gathering place for people who do good deeds and bestow mercy in the name of God. Have you guys devolved into a bunch of thugs who use violence on anyone? The Inquisitor roared angrily, How dare a filthy demon open its mouth to talk about violence? an accessory on her clothes, suddenly emitted a powerful surge of magic. The Inquisitor kept repeating angrily, "How dare a filthy demon?" As for Gretchen, he inwardly wondered in surprise, "I'm a demon." Judging by the way she talks, she must be from the priest class. Since no quest popped up, this isn't an event or part of the storyline, so why on earth does she mistake me for a demon? There isn't even a single cursed piece of equipment in my inventory, so why would she mistake me for a demon? Suddenly, a flash of realization crossed Gretchen's mind. Ah, right. Wait, hold on. Gretchen quickly gripped his sword. Isn't this a perfect opportunity? That glove is worn out of an extreme hatred for a demon-possessed arm. She hates demons, but doubts whether someone possessed by a demon can still remain human. He quickly reached a conclusion. This is a great chance for me to earn extra character setting points. Gretchen feigned anger and spoke up. "Don't call me a demon, you religious fanatic. Victory belongs to my blade, glory belongs to heaven." The Inquisitor angrily scolded. "A traitor corrupted by evil, yet you dare to imitate a knight. If you know what's good for you, surrender and face judgment." She quickly lunged toward him to attack. Gretchen mentally agreed. She's right about me pretending to be a knight anyway, since I haven't even been officially bestowed a knighthood. He stared coldly at his opponent over the blade in his hand. Then Gretchen suddenly vanished from his spot, declaring inwardly, "I'm not going to bother fighting fair and square, you know." The Inquisitor looked annoyed. How cowardly, hiding in the shadows. The system appeared, Boundary Breaker. Infuse magic into your weapon and unleash a powerful leaping slash with demon attributes over a wide area ahead. Gretchen suddenly reappeared and shouted, "Boundary Breaker." The Inquisitor hurriedly raised her white shield in front of her to block the blow. Gretchen attacked her by unleashing a wave of magic surging toward his opponent. The Inquisitor hurriedly raised her shield to defend. Gretchen taunted, "Keep cowering behind that shield. You look no different from a turtle hiding in its shell." The Inquisitor coldly replied, "I'll take your head as a sacrifice for the souls who have suffered." Her weapon suddenly glowed. Gretchen felt slightly puzzled. What's that effect? Is it a buff or an attack? The Inquisitor raised her glowing weapon toward the sky. "God is always with me." Outwardly, Gretchen stood still with a blank expression, but internally he desperately wanted to shield his eyes. Arg, what is this blinding light? Gretchen finally realized what that attack was. It was a skill that boosted both attack power and defense. Isn't she basically rocking an op skill right now? That's a full body stat buff. I wish I had that, I'm so jealous. To be honest, isn't that a bit game-breaking? In the original version, it only applied to weapons. Since there's a class disadvantage, the 1.3x damage multiplier should still apply, right? The Inquisitor charged to attack him again, holding her weapon in front of her shield and rushing fiercely forward. Gretchen quickly looked for a way to parry. She's not attacking directly, just radiating holy light. Is she casting a purification spell? Oh well, support classes move way too slowly to ever land a hit anyway. I don't know what the level gap is between us, but I'm definitely faster. He immediately unleashed an attack toward his opponent, but the Inquisitor's shield blocked every single hit. Gretchen mentally complained, "Oh man, it's all useless because her shield has a 100% perfect blocking rate." He faintly frowned in annoyance at this tough opponent. Gretchen rushed forward again and changed tactics. "Well, breaking through that shield is impossible then." The Inquisitor yelled, "If you have nothing to hide before God, step up and face me, you traitor." Gretchen narrowed his eyes at her and smirked upon hearing those words. Inside his mind, he replied, "I'll grant your wish." Gretchen instantly lunged forward and slashed directly at his opponent. The Inquisitor raised her shield to block. The Inquisitor frowned slightly, holding her shield against his rather heavy attack. Gretchen seized the opportunity to jump onto her shield and vault forward to attack her. The system popped up. Priest classes possess extremely sturdy and heavy equipment, which makes their movement sluggish. The Inquisitor couldn't help but startle when she saw Gretchen appear right above her head. Gretchen rapidly closed in. "It's over, fanatic." He delivered a very powerful blow toward the Inquisitor, forcing her to use all her strength to block. She gritted her teeth in anger and frustration at being cornered by someone like him. Gretchen thought, on the other hand, the Magin Knight class is. He quickly leaped away from the skirmish and prepared to ambush the Inquisitor from behind. He felt a swell of pride. This character class is top tier when it comes to attack speed. He shouted, "Pay the price for running your mouth." Suddenly, another voice cut in. "Oh flame, scorch my enemies." A stream of fire surged between the two of them. Gretchen was surprised. A mage skill, right here. Oliver spoke up, "Good grief. I never expected a judge to struggle this much. I'm a little late, but I'll back you up now." The Inquisitor exclaimed excitedly, "You're here, Archmage." Gretchen didn't understand what was going on. A judge, Archmage. He suddenly remembered. Priest third job advancement. Judge. Mage third job advancement. Archmage. Are they talking about the third job advancements for priests and mages? So my enemies are a combination of two third advancement classes, someone who tanks and heals, plus a ranged damage dealer. While I'm just a low-level newbie who literally just finished the tutorial, Gretchen felt it was completely unfair. Gretchen felt anxious about the current situation. Seriously, are you really going to bully a rookie like me to this extent? This isn't even like hitting a rock with an egg. It's like smashing your head straight into Mount Siorak. Is there any way to clear this state? You're telling me to accept death without a painless quit button. Are you kidding me? He panicked inwardly. Pain isn't the problem. What about the death penalty? Suddenly a thought flashed through Gretchen's mind. Wait, willpower. He paused for a moment. Are they telling me to just go die? Right? Death is also part of the game system. If even dying is part of the tutorial, who knows? Maybe after dying, all those utility features that haven't been unlocked yet will finally become available. Gretchen suddenly understood. They made this game so realistic probably to make players experience everything no matter how annoying it is. Have fun with that, developers. I'm going out in peace now. He closed his eyes and calmly concluded the situation. I'm dead either way, what is there to fear? Since that's the case, I'll just do whatever I want. I'll say my piece and die looking cool. Gretchen spoke up, Archmage, that title of sage is ancient history. Now you just hang around with reckless little girls and scare passersby. The Inquisitor angrily shouted, you're the fake one here, pretending to be innocent while having signed a pact with a demon. The Archmage is just fulfilling her duty. Suddenly, the system notified, hostile target within a 10-meter radius. Gretchen warily glanced behind him, more reinforcements. No, this presence was. He realized a giant snake was slithering toward them. Oliver wondered, Medusa. Gretchen mentally wanted to scream. Hey, that was supposed to be my line. The Inquisitor yelled furiously. You shift the blame by playing innocent while summoning accomplices. You traitorous apostle. Gretchen calmly replied, accomplices. It looks like the holy light has blinded you. He calmly faced the giant snake. I'll hack that demon into 100 pieces and tear that stupid mouth of yours apart. The system appeared, Medusa, a demon consisting of hundreds of snakes revolving around a red snake. It will scatter when sensing danger. The snake opened its mouth wide and lunged like a flying arrow toward Gretchen. He breathed a sigh of relief internally. A demon showing up right now, so it's a storyline event. He thought the developers aren't crazy enough to kill the player instantly. I trusted you guys. He smiled faintly. Right on time, you bugs. Gretchen shouted with excitement. I bring death to you all. The Inquisitor angrily said, feigning ignorance and trying to join forces. Oliver quickly stopped her. Wait a minute. Oliver's face wore a worried expression as she spoke slowly. That person. Gretchen barely dodged a snap from the monster. Just like the window description stated, the core of Medusa is the red snake. In the original version, you just keep attacking until the snakes scatter to find the red snake, but too tedious, right? With the impatient nature of Korean gamers, who has the time to wait? He smiled faintly, swung his sword up, and charged straight at the monster. If they're going to make it this realistic, the core's location is way too obvious. Gretchen bolted forward and slashed straight into the center of the monster's body. The monster's blood splattered everywhere, and the smaller snakes were sent flying outward. Gretchen continued to observe the enemy, right where the snake's heart was supposed to be located. A red snake revealed itself among the snakes of different colors, and Gretchen instantly realized his prediction had been spot on. He tossed his sword back. Trying to use the sword at a time like this would only result in missing. Gretchen reached out his hand and thrust it rapidly into the midst of the black snakes. He swiftly pulled out a brilliantly glowing red snake. Gretchen immediately dealt with the snake and brought it down, thinking with internal satisfaction that move wasn't half bad. The red snake is officially taken care of. So now then, he slowly turned his head so his attackers could witness it as well. Gretchen decided it was time to kick off a thrilling roleplay session as a demon hunter. Gretchen dropped the red snake down onto the ground, right beneath his feet. He focused his strength and gave the snake a sharp stomp. Gretchen looked down to observe it and noticed the snake had ceased to live. He lifted his foot off the creature, leaving red footprints stained on the ground. The Inquisitor looked at him with a mix of disgust and contempt. Gretchen slowly raised his sword, thinking, these damn fanatics actually know how to read the room. I'll praise you for not foolishly rushing in to interrupt. Now should I tear that mouth apart as a reward? Oliver hurriedly spoke up. Wait, there seems to be a misunderstanding. I apologize for attacking you. Please will you listen to what we have to say? The Inquisitor asked in surprise. A misunderstanding? What are you talking about, Archmage? Do you even know why a traitor, why a demon would fight each other? Oliver replied, no, that person is not someone who signed a pact with a demon. The Inquisitor showed disbelief, but he clearly used demonic power, yet you're telling me he isn't one. How can that be? I was never taught anything like that. The Inquisitor showed disbelief, but he clearly used demonic power, yet you're telling me he isn't one. How can that be? I was never taught anything like that. Gretchen felt amused. She's talking right about me. Having things explained from a third-person perspective like this is pretty awesome. I've gotta wait and see how this plays out. Oliver spoke normally. A host possessed and invaded by a parasitic demon loses consciousness and turns into a zombie. On the contrary, this young man seems to have subdued the demon and taken control of its power by himself. The Inquisitor frustratedly argued back, "That's impossible. You can't possibly do something like that purely through human willpower without the power of God." Oliver answered, "Nothing in this world is truly impossible. There are only things that people assume to be impossible. If that's not the case, what else should we call the young man standing right before us?" Gretchen spoke up coldly. "Just how much longer do the two of you plan on rambling in front of other people?" He feigned anger, a zombie. "How dare you guys treat me like trash?" But inwardly, he was having a blast. Since the actual cast is giving me a chance to act out a fun scene, I gotta lean into it properly. Here's my chance to proudly show off my personality. Oliver bowed her head in apology. "This is clearly our fault. If there's anything you want, I'll do my best to provide it." Gretchen thought, at best, she'll probably just give me some loose change and a newbie armor set. He gritted his teeth and replied, "Damn it, provide it if you can. Oh, if I told you guys to go commit suicide, would you actually do it?" Oliver slowly answered, "Well, as for that," Gretchen cut her off, "if you can't do that, then save your cheap apologies. If it were up to me, I'd already want to tear your jaws off and hang them at the village gates, but if I did that, how would I be any different from those demons?" He swiftly sheathed his sword back into place. "Get lost." In truth, contrary to his expressionless exterior, Gretchen was genuinely thrilled. "This is so exciting. It feels like syncing up with my college buddies, who even comes up with dialogue this smooth. You know, a strong character with a bad attitude only looks cool when the opponents react properly. Thanks a lot, guys." Suddenly, he came to a halt and stopped in his track. Gretchen suddenly remembered, "Oh right, I almost forgot to grab the corpse." He quickly picked up the bloody red snake. The Inquisitor abruptly spoke up. "Wait." Inwardly, Gretchen retorted, "What now? Are you going to complain about me taking the corpse?" He turned his head back to meet the Inquisitor's jade-green eyes. Gretchen felt a wave of depression. "Oh, NPCs. A newbie player needs this to complete their quest, you know." The Inquisitor spoke loudly, word by word. "Listen to what I have to say first." Gretchen instantly put on a cautious look. A new quest. At that moment, the Inquisitor stood firmly in front of Gretchen. "I also want to apologize." Seeing him stand there blankly, she began to panic. "I shouldn't. Well, even if I try to explain right now, it'll just sound like making excuses. Let me apologize for attacking you first." Gretchen found it rather confusing. Don't high-class lady NPCs always stubbornly protect their pride? Or did you imagine the Inquisitor would arrogantly question you with, "Aren't you ashamed of making money off a demon's corpse? You monster with zero sense of justice, I can't believe." Gretchen's silence only brought awkwardness. "I know repeating myself won't do much good, but I sincerely apologize." Only now did Gretchen truly believe it. She apologized so sincerely that it felt a bit awkward, even though he knew she was just an AI character. Oh well, it was just an easily misunderstood situation. As she spoke, the Inquisitor added, I'm not just apologizing empty-handed. If you want a reward, I'll pay you as much as I possibly can." This resolute attitude caught Gretchen by surprise. Her mindset is seriously impressive. Is this a companion recruitment event? He showed a hint of annoyance at the surrounding scenery. A companion? In a wasteland like this? I don't need one, and it doesn't fit this character's roleplay vibe at all. Thinking this, Gretchen turned right around and walked away. "Let's keep the roleplay going. I don't need your hypocrisy." These words filled the Inquisitor with immense guilt. "It's not hypocrisy. Please listen to me." Right on cue, a voice reached them. "Inquisitor, calm down." She paused when she looked over at the Archmage. Oliver calmly and slowly reminded her, "More importantly, we need to get going too. We wasted time because we couldn't catch the demon, but now that the purification is done, we have to report it immediately." Hearing this, the Inquisitor deflated slightly and answered in a soft voice, "You're right." She then reminded herself, "It's getting late, let's hurry." Oliver and the Inquisitor fell in line right behind Gretchen. The sound of footsteps echoed through the forest, but something felt steady and unyielding. The two people behind him walked in rhythm, with no signs of stopping. He felt like something was off, and a thought popped into his head. Wait. The atmosphere grew indescribably quiet. Are they following me? Gretchen looked up at the system map interface. I opened the map and walked straight toward the village, right? But wait, can they actually see this map interface too? Behind him, Oliver started a conversation. "You worked hard all week. You must be pretty disappointed you didn't get to take it down with your own hands." The Inquisitor cheerfully shook her head. Not sad at all, not at all. Purification is also my duty as a servant of God, after all. They completely ignored Gretchen. Gretchen couldn't hide his annoyance. Is there more storyline coming? Let's test the waters. Thinking is doing, so Gretchen immediately put on a sassy tone. I already told you to get lost. He put on his grumpiest expression. Do my words mean nothing to you guys? Faced with this, Oliver remained strangely calm. I'm sorry if we offended you, we didn't mean to. We're just following the magical guidance path. It looks like our destinations happen to overlap. Gretchen felt thoroughly embarrassed. Ah, so that's it. They aren't following me, they're following their own waypoint tracking. Do they have their own map window too? He quickly increased his pace. So embarrassing, let me just slip away somewhere else. At that moment, the Inquisitor hurriedly called out to pull him back. Wait, where are you going? The forest at night is dangerous. Gretchen used a cold tone to reject her. It's only dangerous for scum like you. Don't project your standards onto me. Inwardly, he prayed. Leave me alone, respect my roleplay immersion. She worriedly muttered under her breath. Walking alone in the dark forest is a bad idea. Seeing Gretchen's retreating back gradually fade away, the Inquisitor turned back to ask Oliver, will it really be fine to just let him go like that, Archmage? He's already strong to begin with. If he gets possessed by a demon, it'll be an absolute disaster. Oliver rubbed her chin in thought for a long moment. I've never encountered a situation like this before either. Personally, I hope he doesn't get possessed, but the Inquisitor grabbed her shield and weapon again. Wishes and reality are usually miles apart, I know. Oliver quietly revealed a detail. I temporarily cast a tracking spell on that young man. Since our destinations seem similar, let's keep observing for now. She had no choice but to accept that advice. May God bless him. In the silent full moon night, a flock of crows suddenly beat their wings and flew off. A long while later, the town lights finally came into view ahead. Gretchen walked straight up to the entrance of an office. Just as he stepped inside, he ran into Israel. Ah, I'm sorry, it's late so you'll have to wait a little bit for your next quest. Before she could even finish her second sentence, her face turned pale at Gretchen's appearance. His expression was dark, radiating an intense killing intent and a strong smell of blood. Ah, the Magian Knight. Gretchen swiftly handed a cloth pouch over to Israel and demanded, verify it. She looked flustered, not knowing what to say first. Why is he back so early? Wait, yes, right away. Israel glanced back and forth between him and the contents inside the cloth pouch. Why is there a snake's corpse in here? She was once again shaken to her core. Don't tell me. You went all the way to the northeast forest and took down the demon in just 2 days. Gretchen's inner self wanted to act spoiled, but his facial muscles wouldn't allow it. Israel, you have no idea what kind of suffering I've been through. He recalled last night's ordeal. I confidently turned my back on my NPC companions and started walking. But soon enough, I realized a cruel reality. It took a whole 8-hour carriage ride to get there. Back then, Gretchen had found it absurd. No way, this is still a game. Are they seriously making me walk the entire distance? It's supposed to be a game for entertainment. Come on, no way. And sure enough, Gretchen had set out right at the bright dawn, right? Crossing the forest in broad daylight, right? And even as time drifted into the evening twilight, right? Even late into the dark night, he kept reassuring himself with a single phrase, right? Sometimes Gretchen had to look up at the sky and scold it. No, this is impossible. What a crazy walking simulation game. I've been walking nonstop for a whole day. He had intended to camp along the way, but this forest ecosystem was way too diverse. They made the game realistically irritating to an extreme. What a ridiculously overproduced trash game. Until the system screen finally notified him that he had reached the Tatara trading post, he thought to himself when the window popped up, I almost cried on the spot. Naturally, Israel knew nothing about all this. Ah, let me verify first. The demon in the northeast forest is Medusa. Understood, we'll monitor the situation in the forest a bit longer just in case, but judging by this, it's probably correct. As soon as morning breaks, we'll verify the reliability, complete the quest, and issue the reward. The system interface displayed the quest completion notification. Gretchen's spirit was staggering, but he forced himself to look badass. I'm so dizzy, am I getting old too? Back then, I never used to feel this groggy just from pulling an all-nighter game. Only then did Israel suddenly remember. Since you look tired, let me recommend an inn for you. Meanwhile, inside his mind, he was screaming with joy. Thanks, Israel. If I hadn't bought full IV drips yesterday, this damn game would have made me smash my setup and quit. Right after that, a young boy poked his head out and ran over. Huh, you're back so early. Didn't he just leave the day before yesterday? She took the cloth pouch and instructed. He must be really tired from rushing to finish the quest. Please guide him to the White Wind Inn. As soon as they stepped out the door, the boy asked about his adventure. What kind of demon did you hunt this time? Was it super strong? Gretchen coldly spat out a single sentence. Demons aren't a topic for idle chit-chat. The boy realized he had crossed a line. I'm sorry. Seeing that expression, he understood to some extent. He's stressed out. I maintained my roleplay even knowing this would happen, but sorry for being a shitty adult. I should give him a generous tip as soon as we arrive. I made a ton of money today anyway. After arriving at the White Wind Inn, Gretchen was finally able to collapse onto the bed. Should I rest? Is this even a game? It feels more like a harsh labor experience. Just because the fatigue gauge on the UI hit the maximum, it doesn't mean the real-life player has to be completely exhausted too. My current fatigue rate is 100%. The system opened a countdown timer. Sleep for 6 hours. Gretchen mumbled sleepily, I'll take a nap first and then decide whether to smash the game or not. With that, he directly clicked the start button on the screen. The night grew deeper, and the stars in the sky shone brilliant. The quiet rooms remained peaceful, with nothing happening. The in-room doors stayed tightly shut without a sound. At that moment, a shadowy figure was seen wandering down the hallway. A moment later, the door to Gretchen's room was pushed open a crack. This person tightly gripped the handle of a mace in their hand. The intruder aimed straight for his head and swung down violently. Gretchen had just barely a single thought flash through his mind. I gotta wake up. Right on cue, the system also warned of a hostile target within a 10-meter radius. He hastily reached out to grab his sword. Just as the mace came crashing down, Gretchen managed to block it right in the nick of time. Philip gritted his teeth and hissed through his teeth. So annoying. Gretchen strained against him internally, seriously. I'm the one who should be saying that, you crazy bastard. What kind of detection skill is this? It said within 10 meters, yet it didn't warn me until he was practically right up against my nose. Philip was quickly shoved backward by Gretchen. Why is he so strong? Immediately afterward, he adjusted back into a proper sword-handling stance. Gretchen coldly swept a sharp slash of his blade right toward the attacker's chest. Philip now felt deep regret. Spare me, please. I just wanted the money pouch. Gretchen's face darkened, his voice dropping low. Drop your weapon and put your hands behind your head. He felt it strayed a bit from his original trajectory. This is nuts, seriously. I'm role-playing this character, and yet I keep spitting out cop dialogue. Hearing those words, the mace in Philip's hand dropped straight to the floor. He raised his trembling hands and stammered in defense. I dropped it. Please spare my life. Gretchen muttered mockingly. I guess lately whenever you bonk someone on the head, a money pouch just drops out. He startled as Philip suddenly drew a hidden dagger from his clothes. Usually, yeah, that's how it goes. Gretchen used his instincts to dodge the guy's clumsy movement. He casually struck the back of Philip's neck, knocking him unconscious. Looking at the lump forming on the guy's head, Gretchen could only sum it up with one remark. Did you seriously think you could kill me with that toy dagger? How laughable, he thought with quiet contempt. Even though I'm just a regular player, getting robbed right when I'm this exhausted is just too ridiculously absurd. I thought an entire bandit gang was showing up, but it turned out to be just some petty thief who opened a door and walked in. What kind of event is this? Gretchen dragged the suspect right outside the receptionist area. Israel startled when she saw the scene. Oh my God. Even though he had no ill intent, his killing intent was radiating too strongly. Sorry for snapping, but can you just let me sleep for a bit? Before Gretchen could say anything else, her face turned pale as she shrieked out loud. She couldn't help stammering, cover up. Gretchen tapped Philip's head a few times with his sword. Are your eyes just for show? When did he even die? Right at that moment, the system issued a new alert. Hostile target within a 10-meter radius. Glancing over, the Inquisitor stormed in furiously. Did you actually commit murder in such a short span of time? Without waiting for an explanation, she directly pinned the crime on Gretchen. I knew it. Any zombie that manages to keep its consciousness can only be. The Inquisitor spoke as she thrust her weapon straight toward him. Gretchen quickly took a step back, dodging her strike. His expression turned slightly annoyed. This annoying NPC is here again. Why does she always show up during the most easily misunderstood situations? Isn't this storyline a bit too forced? But right now, the Inquisitor was still glaring daggers at Gretchen. Her rising murderous intent made the atmosphere even more tense. Even though it was a bit troublesome, he didn't really mind. More importantly, whenever this nun showed up, it was kind of fun because it triggered his deep roleplay switch. Gretchen issued a final threat. I'm pretty sure I told you I'd kill you if you kept following me. According to the backstory I made up for the Magin Knight, there are certain trigger buttons that make him lose control. Spawn of evil. In the name of God, lose your mind. And this nun happily pushes those buttons every single time we run into each other. In the name of God, spawn of evil, trash zombie. The Inquisitor gritted her voice to try and overpower Gretchen. You filthy demon who stole a human body. Gretchen smiled and let out a sigh. Figures. With that, Gretchen widened his stance and threw his whole body into an attacking posture. Across from him, a cold glint flashed in the depths of her eyes as she scanned him from head to toe. Gretchen let out a soft sigh. You're just rushing your own death. The magic in his hand spread across the entire length of the blade. If you don't want to get dragged into useless trouble, back off. His cold gaze narrowed slightly, falling onto her companion. Gretchen intended to execute a swift and clean takedown. To his surprise, someone stepped in to stop him. Frost chains wrapped around him, locking down his movements and binding him in place. At a single glance, Gretchen recognized the crowd control attribute of the mage class. If that was the case, Oliver hurried in from outside, yelling, "Wait, please stop." Seeing her, Gretchen thought to himself, "I was just wondering where you went, you witch." This is a skill that dispels automatically if you wait a bit, but should I resist to stay in character? Since life gave him a role, he didn't mind acting it out. Shut up. The Inquisitor questioned Oliver with a puzzled look. Archmage, what's going on? Why did you tell us to stop? Before she could finish speaking, she noticed Gretchen's sword brimming with magical power. He swung his arm forcefully, and all the chains shattered simultaneously. The blade swept horizontally, passing just a few centimeters from the Inquisitor. It carried enough destructive force to damage the ceiling itself. Israel had already crawled under a table at some point, her face completely drained of color. Oliver dropped her jaw in disbelief at what had just transpired. Following the explosive burst of strength, the body of Gretchen's sword remained coated in a thick, dark purple magical aura. The atmosphere in the inn's front lobby grew 10 times more tense. The Inquisitor finally spoke in a soft voice. He shattered the Archmage's binding skill that easily. How is that possible? Gretchen's lips pressed tightly together, his expression turning even darker. Deep down, however, he was quite amused. Oh, you noticed. That's rich. Dozens of comments complained about players wanting to nerf mages. That binding skill must have been so overpowered in the original game that people constantly demanded nerfs for it. Oliver let out an awkward cough. Both of you calm down first. It seems like there's another misunderstanding. The Inquisitor refused to believe she was in the wrong. What are you talking about? I saw him deal with someone with my own eyes. Please explain. Oliver grew slightly annoyed now. Inquisitor, has your rage against evil blinded you? Look around carefully and verify for yourself whether this young man actually killed anyone. After taking a look around, the Inquisitor discovered that Philip was still alive. The Inquisitor widened her eyes like a toddler. He's really not dead. Shocked out of her mind, she turned to Gretchen to confirm if he was genuinely still alive. His appearance looked annoyed, but his inner self was celebrating tenfold, just as I thought. I wanted to kill him, but I didn't. A moment later, Oliver offered a proposal. If you don't mind, could you explain the situation? I know it's shameless to ask for an explanation after attacking first, but the other guests have come out too. Instead of causing unnecessary misunderstandings, give us a chance to ease their anxiety. Thanks to her, Gretchen hadn't even realized when everyone had gathered like this. With that, he ordered Philip, confess yourself. Gretchen had an urge he couldn't voice, and stop showing me your ass. The guy trembled as he looked back over his shoulder. Please spare me. Gretchen's eyes lit up as if he could pocket Philip at any second. Do I have to repeat myself? Scared out of his wits, the guy wailed in despair. No, I was aiming for his money pouch. It's all my fault. He was too generous to the errand boy. I thought he was super rich, so I just hearing those words put Gretchen in a much better mood. The misunderstanding was completely resolved. I'm so damn tired. Without waiting for anyone to speak, he turned and walked away. You'd better pay more attention to security from now on. I'm leaving. Israel stammered as she tried to hold him back. What? Wait, adventurer. He didn't care and walked straight out the door. I already stored my unequipped gear in my inventory, so I don't even need to pack luggage. Awesome. Rapid and hurried footsteps echoed behind Gretchen's back. After walking a few steps, he froze in thought. Wait a minute. Why do those nun and mage look kind of familiar? Last time it was dark and too chaotic to see them clearly, but meeting them again now, Gretchen's train of thought was interrupted by the Inquisitor. Hey, you. Hearing that, his footsteps halted as he cautiously glanced back over his shoulder. The Inquisitor must have rushed to catch up, because her breathing was completely out of whack. Gretchen's pupils mirrored her appearance with a look of utter confusion. Standing outside the entrance of the Tatara trading post, the Inquisitor stopped to catch her breath. He turned his head as if to get a better look, studying her face closely. This nut. She had fiery red hair, the exact hairstyle people called a death flat. And on top of that, the Inquisitor possessed a striking combination of sparkling green eyes. From these traits, Gretchen realized this was none other than an official nun-class character from Legend of Hero. Right after that, Oliver opened the door and ran up to them. Inquisitor, rushing out recklessly like that is extremely dangerous. She patiently lectured her. If you want to talk, you need to calmly think about what to say and how people will react. Gretchen's eyes shifted back to Oliver. Looking closely, the Archmage is the same. She had a tall, muscular physique, like a white lion from the Beastman tribe, a demi-human race in the game. That was the official character model for the mage class. Gretchen couldn't hide his probing gaze. In the original game, I remember no other class characters ever appeared besides the player, since each character's storyline is supposed to be different. A thought crossed his mind, seeing them tailing me like this. Is partying with NPCs mandatory? At that, Gretchen clicked his tongue internally. I don't want to. If I wanted a party, I wouldn't have chosen this roleplay style. With a freedom level this high, it surely shouldn't be mandatory, right? Or let me test the waters to see how they play along. With that, he put on a disgusted expression. Don't you know what keeping your mouth shut means? Or can't the words of a spawn of evil reach the ears of a noble, high-end mighty nun? She was left speechless for a moment. Ah no, I'm sorry. Who knows what the Inquisitor was thinking, but she suddenly squeezed her eyes shut. Unbelievably, she actually knelt right in front of Gretchen. The offense I caused you cannot be atoned for with a few empty words. The Inquisitor even patted her chest and declared, if apologizing isn't enough, you can take my head. Gretchen stared blankly at her utterly resolute action. The air between the two of them fell completely silent. Neither of them said another word. Gretchen's mental state was in shock. Is she out of her mind? He couldn't believe those words came from an arrogant nun. Sorry, I prefer playing solo. I'm not some bloodthirsty executioner, got it? Why is her thought process so extreme? Then Gretchen turned to Oliver. Who taught her to think like that? The temple. No, is it you, Archmage? But then he felt helpless. Even the Archmage was wearing a look that screamed, crap, what do I do now? Gretchen's inner self felt deeply wounded. Even so, I gotta stop her. If I turn her down here, it'll completely shatter my character persona. Right at that moment, Oliver looked up and met Gretchen's probing stare. She was startled into a daze, her face turning pale. From the Archmage's perspective, Gretchen was radiating an overwhelming aura of killing intent. Oliver couldn't help but plead, have mercy. The Inquisitor only recently left the temple. She knows too little about the outside world. It's mostly my fault for not stopping her in time, so please punish this old woman instead of. The Inquisitor still possessed her sense of justice. Ah, Archmage, please don't do that, it's my fault. Ignoring her, she just tried to explain to him, I know I have no right to say this, but please. The Inquisitor still wanted to take responsibility herself. Inexperienced as I am, this responsibility is mine alone. The situation grew increasingly deadlocked. Screw it, I have to fix this myself. Gretchen reached into his pocket. Even as an NPC, this feeling is genuinely annoying. But whatever, this situation is kind of hilarious too. I'll just go with the flow. He swiftly drew his sword. I already gave you a chance. After tossing his scabbard to the ground, Gretchen's voice dropped even lower. Yet you chose to take the punishment. At that point, the Inquisitor could only press her lips together and slightly bow her head to accept judgment. Gretchen reached out and grabbed a handful of her hair. He used the sharp blade to execute a basic cut. Even Oliver held her breath, waiting for the final outcome. The Inquisitor's hands trembled violently as she gripped her weapon. After waiting forever with nothing happening, she cautiously opened one eye to check. Gretchen apparently finished what he was doing and had already withdrawn his sword. The Inquisitor looked down at the ground and saw that one of her braids had been sliced off. She panicked as she checked her current appearance. The Inquisitor gritted her teeth and raised her face as if to challenge Gretchen. She couldn't help stammering, why? The corners of his mouth curved up into a smile. Why? Because this genius roleplay addict just spared your lives without breaking character. Gretchen rubbed his chin as a memory hit him. Come to think of it, that older sister in the prologue was around her age and used a mace too. Oliver was quite worried about the Inquisitor's hair. Good lord, she was stunned by that behavior. He's really leaving just like that, just like that. Before leaving, Gretchen tossed back a final remark. Take a good look at your hair and watch your mouth from now on. He muttered inwardly, I got rid of that death flag haircut for you, so you'd better start valuing your life. Externally, however, Gretchen kept his face cold. Because next time, the head that rolls will be yours. Hearing that, the Inquisitor wanted to retort, you, but Oliver by her side held her back. Meanwhile, Gretchen felt proud. Don't you get it? I removed that death flag hairstyle, so you better live a long time. Even if I ditch them, these high-tier NPCs are just gonna follow me anyway, right? He walked away with a cool demeanor while celebrating internally. I can't wait to see what kind of event you guys trigger next. At the same time, the Inquisitor had regained her composure with the Archmage's help. Her voice still stammered slightly. Did you say that person? was possessed by a demon, she quickly confirmed. That's right. The Inquisitor stood up and delivered her conclusion. Then he must have suffered immensely because of that demon. The hatred he had to endure to gain such overwhelming power is simply unimaginable. Yet he just walked away, despite having the power to act on that hatred. Oliver finally let out a breath of relief. That's mercy, Inquisitor. Staring constantly at Gretchen's retreating back, she thought, with that kind of steadfastness, he probably conquered the very demon dwelling inside his body. She wondered, could that be the strength of his heart? With that, the Inquisitor bent down to pick up the lock of hair on the ground. I still have so much to learn. Oliver smiled and offered advice. It can't be helped. You haven't been out in the world for long, so from now on. To her surprise, before she could finish, the Inquisitor interrupted. And I've realized something. Without a doubt, he is unmistakably the essential character for our journey. An unprecedented surge of determination radiated across the Inquisitor's face. Oliver was temporarily frozen by that sudden action. For a fleeting second, her face wore an expression of enlightened serenity. Looking out at the moonlight illuminating the dark night, Oliver could only lament internally. Good grief. I must say, tonight is truly gorgeous. There were about 2 more days left before the full dive time limit expired. Returning to the peaceful town. It was now the morning of the following day, at another nearby. Everyone sat inside, chatting happily. Gretchen stabbed his fork hard into the piece of meat in front of him. His complexion grew worse by the minute. Seeing him like that, the Inquisitor and Oliver looked rather flustered. In reality, Gretchen's mood was completely relaxed. Why are they late? Planning to give me a break because they're afraid I'm tired. Talk about overthinking it. But outwardly, he maintained a cold front. He abruptly asked, "Are my eyes going blind or are you guys deaf?" Gretchen thought to himself, should I flip the table or smash the place up? Nah, the food is innocent. I still carry the soul of a Korean. Oliver hurried forward to explain. Wait, at least let us finish explaining. I swear you won't regret hearing this. But his attitude remained absolute. No, there's nothing to listen to. He coldly turned his face away. Just seeing you guys ruins my day. The moment he finished speaking, the Inquisitor stammered. She blurted out helplessly. I sincerely came here because I wanted to learn from your generosity. As soon as she said those words, her face instantly flushed red. Gretchen's attitude remained entirely indifferent, as if nothing had happened. He questioned himself, am I overacting? Since I rejected the cliché script, I might have broken her character model. The Inquisitor lowered her head in remorse, to be compassionate and understand others while casting aside pride and stubbornness. I was taught that my whole life, yet I couldn't do it. Her palms clenched tightly together. But you're different. You forgave my insults time and time again. That must not have been easy for you. Her attitude had completely shifted. I've found the path I need to follow thanks to you. The Inquisitor stammered in panic. I know I've been extremely rude up until now, but even so. Seeing Gretchen give no response, she grew utterly desperate. Crap, I'm breaking character, while letting out a terrifying smile. He didn't know how to react and practically wanted to surrender. Ever since his otaku days, he'd always had a soft spot for this type of character. Come to think of it, even back when he played Legend of Heroes, clerics were his absolute favorite class. Gretchen walked up and patted the Inquisitor's head. Oh really, it's fine, it happens. She looks so cute. But all of that was just in his head. He reminded himself to hold back and not break character. At that moment, the Inquisitor looked at him with worried eyes, hurriedly bowing her head. Did I say something wrong again? Was I rude once more? But the stark reality hit Gretchen like a truck. Outwardly, he kept his expression as cold as humanly possible. After thinking for a second, he spoke up. If your goal was to get on my nerves, you've done a pretty interesting job. Gretchen grabbed the sword on his back. It's refreshing to see someone try to log out in such a unique way. Oliver hurried forward. It's not like that, please listen to me. He still acted like he didn't care. There's nothing to listen to. The only thing I have for you is this blade. She hurriedly interrupted. Satan. She conceded as far as she possibly could. If we told you that you can eliminate Satan, the Lord of Demons, would you still draw your sword? Upon hearing those words, Gretchen's expression instantly shifted. He slowly lowered his sword, yet his expression remained terrifyingly serious. What do you mean? Oliver and the Inquisitor hurriedly stood straight up with an imposing air. The two of them turned their heads to look at each other, both sharing the exact same thought. They knew full well that the single remaining eye staring straight at them was radiating an unprecedented amount of killing intent. He clearly hated demons more than anyone else they had ever met. The Inquisitor looked at her reflection in the blade, knowing that now that the name Satan had been uttered, if they dared to conceal even a fraction of the truth, that blind man's merciless sword would hack them to pieces. She clenched her fists tightly, yet the Inquisitor did not hesitate. Her gaze turned resolute. because her life was meant to be dedicated to a greater cause. The Inquisitor understood clearly that if she deceived him right now, death would be the only fitting punishment. But Gretchen thought to himself internally, how cool is this? The Satan storyline is popping up already. He felt overwhelmingly excited, thinking today's episode was an absolute masterpiece. The story originally referred to an Inquisitor as someone who investigates or judges matters of faith. However, in the game, the Inquisitor is the third job advancement for clerics. According to the world lore, they act as representatives enforcing the temple's will out in society. Oliver recounted what she knew, and despite being quite young for an Inquisitor, there was a specific reason she left the temple. Gretchen listened to her in silence. It was all because of a divine revelation. The Inquisitor placed a hand over her chest helplessly. Though I am unworthy, he delivered a message that my mission is to destroy Satan. She raised her head to look at Gretchen. Yet he also said I cannot do it alone and must seek companions. She continued to explain, that's why I first sought out the Archmage, and we set out to find the other. Oliver sighed softly. We came back to find you, even knowing it would annoy you, precisely for that reason. The Inquisitor turned back to look at her. Archmage, didn't you say everything would be fine? Oliver hurriedly turned her face away and coughed a few times. Gretchen's expression grew even worse. Turns out she got tricked into tagging along. She looked so cute, kind of like a little steamed bun. I can't stop laughing. He startled himself with a sudden thought. Wait, what's going on? Isn't the player supposed to be the one who receives that revelation? He grew increasingly indignant. Does the storyline for this remake revolve entirely around the clerics now? Seeing Gretchen's attitude, Oliver hurriedly spoke up. So, young man, she asked with a hint of anticipation, will you join us in defeating Satan? A notification suddenly popped up. Initial step to defeat the Demon King. He thought in silence, the main quest. She continued recounting, I've done some investigating. You're a pretty well-known mercenary, and I heard you never flinch when hunting demons. She looked at Gretchen with curiosity. If we take down Satan, wouldn't the demons across this country be forced to retreat? He suddenly found it funny. That guy a hero, please. Oliver placed a hand on the Inquisitor's shoulder. If you need proof, we can accompany you to the church. She didn't forget to add, every temple will verify that she is indeed the hero. Gretchen thought in silence for a very long time. What on earth am I supposed to do now? Gretchen's voice dropped abruptly. Those words just now. He warned both of them. You'd better not be lying to me. He observed his companion, who was an Inquisitor, along with his other companion, who was an Archmage. A system notification appeared. Initial step to defeat the Demon King. Join the subjugation party. Speaking to the Archmage, Gretchen raised his head to look at Oliver. Once negotiations were concluded, Gretchen boarded a carriage and departed. He looked at Israel and the young boy behind him as he joined the subjugation party and immediately left the Tatara trading post. He thought to himself, there are also a few events like the inn asking for another chance or someone demanding a reward. Thinking about this, Gretchen suddenly felt exhausted, but to maintain his character persona and focus on the main quest, he skipped all of it. He kept feeling like something was off, but even so, Gretchen just wanted to avoid the Inquisitor's gaze. Why does she keep staring at me like that? This made him feel somewhat awkward. Ever since he agreed to join the subjugation party, the pressure had been immense, with her eyes locked exclusively on. Gretchen let out a soft sigh, even though I keep saying all these harsh, biting things to her. He glanced outward. If there were a friendship meter, I would have thought it hit rock bottom by now. A notification suddenly popped up in front of him. You can bring designated NPCs along, track the location of companion NPCs, and issue commands to companion NPCs. An NPC's attitude will change based on their friendship level, and this stat will remain hidden. Gretchen was quite surprised when this notification popped up right as he decided to go with. He found it very confusing, since his friendship level should normally be plummeting due to his extreme role-playing habit. He coldly announced, "Don't even dream that I'll treat you guys as comrades." Gretchen suddenly remembered, those are just lines I always say. He wondered to himself, or was the friendship level set to a high default because she's an early game NPC? The Inquisitor's mood was extremely excited. This made Gretchen evaluate her. She's pretty much like a kimchi dumpling. He sank deep into his own thoughts. Ever since I cut off that death flag hairstyle of hers, she looks even more like a steamed bun. Staring at me wide-eyed with that fierce, burning passion of hers, she's genuinely adorable. His mood suddenly brightened. It feels like raising a child with my own hands. After a prolonged silence, Oliver broke the silence. She asked curiously, aren't you going to ask us anything? Like whether we actually received a revelation, where we're going, and why, things like that. Gretchen didn't know what to say. simply because you guys are just game characters, and I won't know the next map until I actually get there. Yet he still put on a badass front. If that revelation turns out to be BS, I'll send you packing. Other than that, I couldn't care less where you're going or what you're doing. He warned them both, if you still have any sense left, you'd better warn me in advance about whatever I need to know. Oliver was taken aback. It sounds like you trust us immensely. Her voice faltered slightly, though it's probably just because you find these trivial matters annoying and can't be bothered. After thinking for a moment, she still decided to share. The temple sent out a request to exterminate the demons, and that's where we're heading. The Inquisitor chimed in. We're supporting the temple completely independently of the subjugation party. As servants of the divine, helping the suffering is our duty. Gretchen abruptly cut her off. I don't care about any of that. He bluntly asked them both, which demon, how many of them? She hurriedly reminded him, we only got word that a demon appeared, so we have to go to the temple to hear the details. Gretchen frowned with utter contempt, useless deadbeats. A system notification popped up. A demon is hiding in the village. Go to the temple to speak with the bishop. He was quite surprised, not the main quest. But Gretchen didn't pay much attention. Whatever, as long as the storyline keeps moving. He calculated internally. The actual full dive playtime left is about a day and a half, right? Even though he had complained that riding a carriage like this wasted a ton of useless time. Feeling exhausted, Gretchen decided to catch a quick nap. He glanced at the two people across from him. They'll wake me up when we get there. Seeing him fall fast asleep, the Inquisitor looked immensely thrilled. Late last night, she was still sitting inside the prayer room. Oliver knocked gently on the door. Inquisitor, may I come in? She nodded in agreement. Yes, Archmage. She slowly pushed the door open. I think we need to talk. Oliver walked inside. You realize what it means when he could have taken your life, right? Her gaze turned troubled. Don't tell me you don't understand how heavy a mission tied to your very life is. At that, Oliver didn't know how to explain. If he hadn't held back then, the Inquisitor suddenly interrupted. You're entirely right. I spoke too impulsively and thoughtlessly at the time. She slowly turned her head back. Yet, Archmage, didn't I also almost murder an innocent person? She blamed herself heavily. Righteousness is just justified violence, so we must wield it cautiously and seriously. Oliver sighed, never become overly confident in your own righteousness. She continued to remind her, that is the 9th commandment. The Inquisitor's hands trembled. If I had accidentally killed him back then, how many more innocent people would my foolishness have harmed? She deeply regretted her actions. Someone like me who doesn't even fully understand the Lord's words, do I even deserve to be a hero? She recounted further, yet through his magnanimity, he gave me a chance to repent and awaken. When I spoke those words, I was already prepared to accept death. The Inquisitor looked straight into Oliver's eyes, but it was precisely his magnanimity that helped me take one step closer to my mission. She felt deeply moved. Doesn't that make him sound like a messenger sent by the divine to preach teaching? Returning to the present, the Inquisitor looked at Gretchen sleeping soundly. She smiled warmly, praying for the divine to grant him peaceful slumber. The carriage carrying the three of them traveled toward a new land. It was late at night at an inn. Gretchen's mood at this moment was exceptionally terrible. He sighed and cursed inwardly. 3 whole days in the game wasted. This crazy walking simulator. He felt deeply heartbroken. Spending this much time traveling makes me want to ban full dive altogether. My full dive solution burned through hundreds of thousands of hard-earned gal for nothing. Gretchen frantically searched around. Since it's come to this, I've got to rush through the storyline as fast as possible with the time I have left. A new quest popped up. Initial step to defeat the Demon King. Go to the temple and speak with the bishop. The Inquisitor smiled excitedly. That took longer than I thought. No more dawdling, let's head straight to the temple. Realizing he had already walked ahead, she panicked. When did he leave? She hurried after him. Wait for me, demon-slaying knight. I'm coming too. Oliver could only walk slowly behind them. This old body can't keep up. Noticing something amiss, it caught her attention. She sighed softly. For some reason, I just feel an uneasy restlessness in my heart. Up in the sky, a flock of black crows flew in one direction, as if portending ill fortune. The scene shifted to a grand royal palace. A short while later, Gretchen had set foot in this place. Dozens of blades threatened him, but he remained completely calm. The sage's intuition had come true. A crowd of people glared at him, with hatred, shouting warnings about a demon. The Inquisitor hurried over to stand in front of Gretchen. She shouted to explain, listen, he's not an enemy. The new knight was surprised to notice the birthmark on her hand was the hero's crest. She spoke with a resolute voice. I swear on the honor of a hero that he is merely a victim of demons, not their minion. The surrounding people chattered constantly, but there's clearly demonic killing intent coming from him. She's still young, so she probably doesn't know yet. She only recently received the revelation after all. We should report this first. Oliver stepped forward, gripping her staff tightly in her hand. Before anyone could figure out what was happening, she slammed it hard against the ground. Oliver stepped forward to warn them. Order, everyone. Her tone carried a hint of annoyance. The hero told you to lower your weapons, yet you aren't listening. Seeing her step up, the crowd glanced at one another. Finally, they decided to lower their weapons. Since the divine messenger has spoken, we shall obey. The leader stepped forward to offer, we will guide you inside. Oliver approached Gretchen to explain, please don't mind them, they mean no harm. He frowned and replied, if they meant harm, I would have chopped their heads off long ago. But internally, he was having a great time. These misunderstanding events are the absolute best. The best part is having NPCs step up to handle them for you. He couldn't wait any longer. Let's go inside. Gretchen's mood was wonderful. Seeing the two of them acting so timidly was genuinely cute. He suddenly realized something felt off. It's fun and all, but a new challenge awaited him. Perhaps because the game was too realistic, he was starting to feel worn out. After a moment of thought, Gretchen decided that once he got the information, he'd basically dip. Everyone walked inside the large chamber. The bishop spoke to everyone present. I think we've heard enough about the incident. He smiled and suggested, it's getting late, please head to the prepared rooms to rest. The bishop maintained his calm demeanor. If you're uncomfortable eating together, we can have food brought directly to your rooms. Gretchen thought to himself, does he mean he wants me to obediently hole up in my room and sleep instead of wandering around? He questioned himself, am I being overly paranoid? But when conversations feel like a battle of wits like this, who wouldn't be paranoid? Gretchen resolutely stood up. Role-playing is fun and all, but keeping up an act like this is exhausting. Deep down he knew what mattered, so he spoke coldly, I refuse. Gretchen didn't care about his wording at all. I'd rather sleep on the dirt than spend the night in this swamp of hypocrites. The bishop couldn't believe his ears. What? A system notification popped up. A demon is hiding in the village. Hunt down the demon lurking in the village. Choice, question the villagers or find clues about the demon. He sighed softly. The quest just updated, time to investigate. And I think I already know what kind of demon it is. Gretchen suddenly turned around and walked away, causing Oliver to worry. Demon-slaying knight. The Inquisitor was about to chase after him. Please wait a moment. She instinctively reached out to grab Gretchen's arm, but this action deeply annoyed him. He coldly warned, don't touch me without permission. Realizing what she did, the Inquisitor lowered her head awkwardly. I'm sorry. Oliver stepped up and placed a hand on her shoulder. Where are you going? Gretchen didn't explain much and directly turned on his heel. Stupid question. I'm going to hunt demons, where else? Inside his head, he messaged the two of them. Sorry guys, if I waited for you it'd take forever. I'm gonna speedrun this quest and be right back. Hearing him say that, the Inquisitor hurriedly offered, I'll go too. Oliver merely smiled gently, in an inscrutable manner. She watched Gretchen's retreating back. You're making this old lady feel quite embarrassed. She reminded them, let's get going as well. Inquisitor nodded happily and agreed, yes, Archmage. Seeing everyone leave, the bishop looked extremely flustered. The hero, the sage. Remembering something, Oliver turned back. We deeply appreciate the bishop's kind intentions. She couldn't hide her annoyance, but our friend isn't irresponsible enough to go to sleep when he knows a demon is right in front of us. His complexion suddenly turned terrible. The Inquisitor hurriedly ran after Gretchen. Please wait, we'll go with you. She called out, demon-slaying knight. Outside the door, the Black Crow heard everything. It silently monitored the entire situation. Having gathered the information, the crow flew away from this place. Shifting to late into the night, the moon had risen high into the sky. Gretchen walked while thinking. In the end, I still ended up partying up and traveling together. Acting as though she just remembered, Oliver said, all right, now let's go find some witnesses to gather information. Gretchen abruptly interrupted. No need. She turned her head to look at him. Did you already figure out what kind of demon it is this time? Gretchen suddenly felt depressed. This old lady already knows, yet she's deliberately testing me. The Inquisitor looked at him with a blank gaze. May we hear your opinion? She looked so much like a little steamed bun that Gretchen couldn't help but find it amusing. He hurriedly turned his face away. I almost smiled like a proud dad. Gretchen coldly replied, it's hard to believe someone like you is a hero. The Inquisitor resolutely reminded him, I admit I still have many shortcomings, but please do not speak such disrespectful words. She continued to probe, so which demon on earth is hiding here? Gretchen turned his head away, getting shaded like that, and she still tells people not to doubt the divine's will. She really has zero tact, but it's genuinely admirable. He turned and kept walking. It's a Draugr. The Inquisitor couldn't hide her surprise. Oh, I see. If it's a Draugr, then everything makes sense. Oliver suddenly grew curious. Then we should be looking for places with a strong, foul stench, right? She further suggested. If there's a nearby graveyard, that would be the best place to investigate. I hear Draugrs are all born from graveyards. Gretchen remained silently lost in thought for a long time, but he had been holding in his laughter until he was trembling. Watching this kid grow up like this, holding back laughter is no easy feat. I gotta refocus, think about some gloomy stuff, get serious. He connected the dots more thoroughly. Come to think of it, in the original game, this Draugr incident was the exact reason the village temple became corrupt and demon worshippers appeared. He felt a slight wave of anticipation. I wonder how it'll play out in this remake version. Noticing something amiss, the Inquisitor turned her head alertly to look in a certain direction. I smell something really strange. It's drifting out from over here. All three of them stared at the small alley right in front of them. After a moment of thought, Gretchen pulled out an oil lantern. He held it forward to get a better look at the alley. Spotting the human corpse lying there, he instantly understood, right there. Starting from this exact moment, the Inquisitor's expression abruptly shifted. What is this? It seemed things were far more troublesome than he had initially thought. Everything was beginning to unfold in an unexpected direction. Gretchen carried the lantern closer to observe more carefully. All three of them noticed the color of the corpse, surrounded by flies and gnats. The Inquisitor shuddered at the sight. Good lord. Oliver hurriedly turned around. I'll go fetch the guards right away. She nodded in agreement. Yes, I'm counting on you. He suddenly felt confused. I thought they just added smells to the streets for historical immersion, but I didn't expect Draugrs to leave behind such a horrific stench just by passing through. Hunting these things down personally is gonna be exhausting. Gretchen held his breath and stepped closer to examine the corpse. He sighed with slight helplessness. We got here too late. After a moment of thought, he decided, I'll just claim justice for you. Gretchen reached out to cover the corpse's eyes, so please rest in peace. The Inquisitor behind him clenched her hands tightly together. I will pray for them. The moment she finished speaking, she began chanting strange incantations. He let out a soft sigh. Even though I don't believe in gods and deities, this kind of guidance actually looks pretty cool. Oliver ran over to inform the two of them. The guards will be here to haul the body away soon. She continued to deduce, judging by how strong the smell still is, it must have been attacked just a few minutes ago. The Draugr definitely couldn't have gotten far. Without wasting any time, Oliver used her ability to search the surroundings. She explained to the two of them, this is a tracking spell. She further reminded them, though it won't last long, it's enough to chase them down. Gretchen quickly sprinted toward the direction with abnormal signs. Oliver sighed in reminder, you're making this old lady look like a fool again. Let's go. The Inquisitor obediently followed along. Yes. Having spotted something unusual, she added, I'll purify the demonic miasma as we go. Watching the light glowing from behind, he thought to himself, at least this way I don't have to worry about losing my way back. Gretchen's mood suddenly improved. Going solo or role-playing is fun and all, but having a party makes these chores way more convenient. Spotting something, he glanced off in a certain direction. Gretchen suddenly hit the brakes hard. The Draugr ran off when. Looking at the path ahead, the Inquisitor grew furious. Damn it. They had completely run out of road. It was a dead end. Oliver behind them looked somewhat helpless. Good grief. Looks like it clipped right through that wall to keep going. She suggested we should head to higher ground to find another way around. Gretchen thought to himself, in theory that's a good idea, but he asked himself, since it's still a game anyway, why not just try this out? His action made Oliver anxious. Wait, you're doing that again. Without an ounce of hesitation, he leaped up into midair. Gretchen utilized the small alley to vault straight up onto the rooftop. He wanted to catch the Draugr as fast as possible. Oliver and the Inquisitor could only stare in a daze as his retreating figure dashed off. Gretchen successfully scaled the towering wall. He stood from above, scanning the surroundings to observe the trap. The time wasted earlier gave the Draugr enough of a head start to make his search a bit difficult. The Inquisitor and Oliver hurriedly chased after him, calling out, demon-slaying knight. She also let out a helpless sigh. What a reckless guy. The two of them couldn't pull off what Gretchen did, so they could only stand from afar and watch him. Recalling his action just now, he laughed with excitement that looked so badass. His entire body shivered with bliss. I didn't even need to use skills to pull off a jump like that, and the landing sensation with the wind resistance feels insanely realistic. Gretchen was lost in self-admiration. Do I actually have a hidden talent for parkour without even knowing it? Remembering what mattered, he hurriedly refocused. I gotta find the demon before the tracking spell wears off. Spotting the tracks right in front of him, he instantly understood. So that's it. Gretchen's expression abruptly shifted. just a stinking pest playing cat and mouse to provoke me. He coldly declared, well, it ends right here. Without wasting time, Gretchen quickly took action. He bounded from one spot to another at a rapid speed. Nothing could keep up with him at this moment. Gretchen's face revealed an excited smile. He felt as though he had transformed into a superhero, thinking inwardly. High-end RPGs like this are simply the best. Right after that, Gretchen landed perfectly. Glory belongs to heaven. His gaze turned terrifyingly sharp, demanding justice for the fallen. Right before him was the Phantom Draugr, a creature specializing in deceiving human vision to devour them, rising from its grave and capable of phasing through solid stone to hunt prey. Gretchen pointed the tip of his sword at it. This pathetic game of hide-and-seek ends right now. All right. Realizing something was wrong, Gretchen froze in place. He asked himself, I thought the system would automatically drag the NPCs along so they'd keep up. How come I still don't see them? He felt a bit desperate. If only I had a kimchi dumpling here right now to cast a quick purification. This horrific stench is driving me insane. Gretchen was still complaining in his head. Viewing things in 3D makes timing attacks so damn hard. He wondered to himself, should I wait a bit longer to see if my companion NPCs show up? Wander suddenly stepped forward. As expected, it's you, Gretchen. The guy's tone carried a hint of amusement. I was wondering how to drag those heretics out. He slowly stepped in front of Gretchen. It's genuinely hilarious that you wandered right into the lion's den to deliver your own head. Wander wore an excited smile. Gretchen, the king is looking for you. A system notification popped up. Pact with demons. Those who sell their souls to demons for power, though who knows if they sold themselves to demons or just their own desire. Finishing reading this information, Gretchen completely froze. What? He stared at the madman before him. King? What king? King of the demon pactors. Why is he looking for me? Has he got a death wish? What kind of messed up storyline is this? How am I supposed to play along with this now? While he was still panicking, Wander continued. If you were captured by those heretics, I'd have lent a hand. Let's go enjoy the massacre festival, Gretchen. He still felt something was off. Gretchen. There was never any character named Gretchen in Legend of Heroes. Glancing down at the crest on his own armor made him freeze. No way. Time seemed to stand still as the two of them locked eyes. Gretchen asked himself, did I stumble straight into the demon worshipper route? Gretchen recalled, you made your choice. An inhuman power has awakened within you. You have attained knowledge that does not belong to mortals. Gretchen had to endure horrific, agonizing torment. And then you broke free from the shackles of humanity. You have awakened a new power. Now you are on the path to becoming a true Magian Knight. Gretchen dazedly asked himself, so this is what it feels like. He suddenly brightened up. I'm gonna grind all the different endings anyway. I'll just check this one out later. Wander confusedly called out, Lord Gretchen. He raised his sword without a second thought. Let's just keep rolling with the persona for now. Unwilling to waste time, Gretchen took action. His overwhelming strength swept everything away. He curiously raised his head to look forward. Did I hit it? With just a single blow, Wander grew terrified. Gretchen sighed softly. He's literally using the Draugr as a wind-dried beef shield. Sensing the situation turning sour, the guy hurriedly changed his tune. I'm sorry, Lord Gretchen. I misspoke and said you were captured. That was completely insolent of me. Please forgive me. Hearing that, he grew even more annoyed. Forgive. He just wanted to wrap this up as fast as possible. Even if you go to hell, you won't be saved. In utter desperation, Wander hurriedly summoned the Draugr. Gretchen's target right now was the Draugr, which had transformed into a knight right in front of him. Treating Gretchen as an enemy, it raised the weapon in its hand high. Naturally, he felt no fear and confronted it head-on. You trash. Gretchen's strength was terrifying. Even the Phantom Draugr struggled to put up a defense. He swung with all his might to smash away whatever was blocking his vision. Get the hell out of my way. After just a few moves, the Phantom Draugr's body lost its footing. Finding things harder than expected, Gretchen frowned. I hate formless monsters like this. Hitting them with a sword feels totally hollow, barely doing any damage. Left with no choice, he charged forward again. This pack guy buffing the Draugr makes fighting so annoying. After a moment of thought, he decided to take out the pack guy first to make things clean and quick. Gretchen looked at the weapon in his hand. Besides, I also wanted to test this out. Without wasting time, he leaped up into midair. His goal this time was to knock the Phantom Draugr stumbling backward. Seizing the opportunity, he charged forward again. The skill effect from the smash earlier was still carrying over into the next strike. He had calculated it beforehand. It still works even if I don't slam it straight down vertically. Gretchen's gaze turned resolute. Let's test it out then. He gripped his sword and bolted straight toward the Phantom Draugr. smashing right into its face. It seemed he succeeded, as a sudden flash of light burst forth. The very next second, the phantom Draugur's entire body exploded completely. Everything returned to normal as a notification popped up. Defeat Draugur 1-1. Next quest, capture the demon Pactor alive. Gretchen sighed and walked up to Wander. The annoying obstacle is gone. He looked down at the trembling man before him. Time to go meet your maker, you scum. The guy pleaded endlessly. I had no intention of messing with the Mabel commercial firm. If I knew Lord Gretchen had his eyes on them, I wouldn't have dared touch them for all the money in the world. He suddenly found it funny. Turns out this is the exact place where I had to grind so bitterly at the start of the game. Seeing his action, Wander hurriedly spoke up, but Lord Gretchen. The guy refused to give up hope for his life. That kid is no ordinary heretic. She's the most formidable person known as a hero. He explained frantically, if you bring her head as an offering to the king, you'll be heavily rewarded. Right at that moment, Oliver and the Inquisitor hurriedly ran over, demon-slaying knight. Catching sight of her, Wander's expression abruptly shifted. Crap, a heretic. Gretchen's mood instantly brightened. Nice. I was worried I'd break character and have to kill him before I could torture him for info. He reminded the two of them, you guys are way too slow. The Inquisitor immediately shifted into a defensive stance. That sinner sold his body and soul to demon. She quickly summoned her energy. I will fight alongside you, demon-slaying knight. Seeing this, Wander despairingly turned his head back to look at him. You're really doing this. Why? The guy cursed incessantly. Why'd you betray us? Gretchen maintained a calm expression. Beats me, buddy. But he didn't want to waste time explaining. I don't even know if I'm on your side, or what Gretchen is supposed to be, so why would I care? I'll just keep playing and figure it out from whatever dialogue pops up. He promptly signaled for Wander to just drop dead. Unwilling to waste time, he raised his sword high. His expression grew even more terrifying. Trash like you don't get to ask why. Pay for your crimes with your life. And just like that, Gretchen successfully completed this quest. The time gradually shifted to the morning of the following day. Everyone stepped inside the spacious church. Wander had also been dragged away and locked up in the dungeon by the others. Gretchen looked back at the backs of everyone walking ahead. Feeling puzzled, the Inquisitor turned her head to look at him. He maintained his cold expression upon seeing that the demon Pactor still managed to keep his life. Flashing back to last night, Wander screamed in a trembling voice. Just as Gretchen was about to strike, he was stopped by Oliver. She used her feeble strength to try her best to prevent him from finishing off Wander. He annoyedly questioned, are you trying to stand in my way? Oliver angrily reminded him, calm down. Taking him alive is much more beneficial than just killing him. While Gretchen was still pondering, she continued to analyze. The Draugr is no ordinary demon. There must be someone behind the scenes pulling the strings and helping summon it. She urged him to be patient. There are more important things than this momentary flash of anger. Returning to the present, Gretchen turned around and walked away. Deep down inside, he felt quite happy. I knew it, but I just wanted to drop a critical hit because you usually have to drain an NPC's health bar first before you can capture them. A notification popped up. Capture alive. Accomplished by draining a portion of the target's health. If the target dies, the mission fails. Gretchen always kept the system's objectives in mind. He suddenly noticed a status bar pop up right after that statement, probably triggered as event dialogue. Come to think of it, ever since the remake introduced a bunch of new systems, it felt fun, both familiar and like playing a completely brand new game. But still, Gretchen slowly walked forward. System warnings kept flashing around him continuously, catching him off guard. Everything since a moment ago consisted of warnings that his health was steadily dropping. Gretchen stepped inside the room. I kinda wanna tag along and see how they handle the interrogation. But one thing bothered him. The deeper he ventured into the church, the more frequent the warning bars became. He had no choice but to turn his bike around and head back out. What else could he do? He asked himself, is it because of the demon parasites inside my body? This is definitely a plot hint that'll get explained later on. Gretchen suddenly felt depressed. How come after finishing the main priest quest, I'm suddenly getting barred from the church? The difficulty of grinding this Magic Knight build is genuinely brutal. Thinking about this, he chuckled, but I love it. Gretchen strolled forward slowly. If I wanted an easy gaming experience, I wouldn't have chosen to roleplay from the start. Roleplaying is the peak of hardcore professionalism, got it. He suddenly grew interested, naturally. For roleplay to flow smoothly, your gaming skills gotta top tier too. If your gaming skills are trash, and you still insist on roleplaying, nobody's ever gonna want to party up with. Gretchen asked himself despondently, now that I think about it with this system set up, am I stuck playing alongside NPCs all the way until the end of the game? He remembered Oliver and the Inquisitor. It feels so empty now that those folks are gone. a bit lonely, and there's nothing else to do right now. A side quest popped up, hidden evil in the village, speak with the bishop. Gretchen instantly deduced, looks like the main quest won't progress until the interrogation wraps up. Not knowing what to do next, he wondered, where should I go to kill some time? The Inquisitor's voice rang out, Demon Knight. She hurried over, where are you going? Let me come with you. He felt something was off, speak of the devil, and she appears right away. Don't tell me this is scripted by the system too. He gave her a cold side-eye. What about the interrogation? The Inquisitor turned her head to explain. Having a hero personally interrogate demon worshippers is too good for them anyway, so the Archmage told me to tag along and assist the Demon Knight instead. Gretchen instantly understood. I got ghosted out of the job, didn't I? He imagined Oliver whispering into his ear. Please keep an eye on the little one for a bit. She curiously approached him. Do you have any other business to take care of? Gretchen's expression turned worse by the minute. This is genuinely exhausting. He coldly questioned. Do you guys only hunt demons when someone serves the information to you on a silver platter? As if realizing something, the Inquisitor's expression abruptly shifted. She beamed at him. That is such a profound philosophy. I've gained so much clarity now, as expected of someone of your caliber. Gretchen was left speechless. No, I was literally just trying to grind level. Gretchen shut his eyes in utter helplessness. Is this that typical NPC who constantly sucks up to the player during the early game? He continued to observe the Inquisitor closely. She looks kind of chubby and talks a lot, which is actually pretty endearing. But even though she's genuinely cute, he was fundamentally an introvert after all, so this felt slightly annoying. I literally just complained about being lonely a moment ago, and now I'm annoyed. Human hearts really change fast. The Inquisitor turned to look at him. It's getting late though. Tracking down information right now might be tough. After a moment of thought, Gretchen announced, I'm heading to the Adventurers Guild. She suddenly lit up with excitement. Spot on. There's definitely a ton of quests over there, bound to be at least one related to demons. You're so wise. He scolded himself internally. Oh crap, I'm locked into this cold persona so I can't break character. I don't actually hate her company, but he was practically crying in despair inside. My character build doesn't allow me to be nice to her. This is so agonizing. The two of them resumed walking side by side. The scene shifted to a grand estate. This place served as the local base for the Adventurers Guild. Oliver remarked with genuine surprise, I never expected the Adventurers Guild to be this useful. A veteran adventurer's practical experience really hits different. She nodded in praise. I've learned a major lesson outside of the Magic Tower today. Gretchen pulled out his badge. If there are any requests related to demons, hand them over. Kiston glanced briefly at the badge and immediately nodded. I've verified your adventurer badge, but requests involving demons are extremely rare. Would you mind taking a suspicious case that might be tied to demons instead? Gretchen stared at him coldly. Hand over the request form, I'll read it myself. Kiston's expression abruptly shifted. You can read. Even so, Kiston still slid the request form across the counter toward him. Even if I handed it over, there's only one suspicious case anyway, and the church has already stuck their noses into it. The details mention a series of consecutive deaths in the surrounding area with unknown causes, and the crime scenes reek of a foul stench. The reward is 500,000 gal. Gretchen abruptly announced, this case is already solved. Kiston went blank with confusion. He suddenly felt annoyed. 500,000 gal, and I don't even get a cut. The church completely hogged the reward. After a moment of thought, Oliver suddenly asked, has there been any news about mysterious disappearances or anyone suddenly acting strangely? The Inquisitor immediately chimed in. We don't need an official quest. Rumors are fine too. This is our adventurer badge after all. Kiston looked up at the two of them. You guys are his party member. He irritably reminded them. If you want to fish for rumors, go ask around the streets or hit up the information broker. He continued inspecting the badges. An Inquisitor and an Archmage from the Magic Tower. Kiston's complexion abruptly shifted. Hold on a second, let me rack my brain all the way back from when I was in the womb. Gretchen was also left speechless. The power of this reputation is no joke. This game's realism is wild. He stared straight ahead as the guy began panicking internally. I was just having a normal night shift, and suddenly VIP clients drop in out of nowhere. Pull yourself together, me. Suddenly, the guy looked up at the three of them. Well, it's nothing major really. Kiston continued. Lately, adventurers have been whispering among themselves that pickpocketing incidents have dropped off drastically. The guy's expression turned serious. Even the beggars on the streets have visibly decreased. I wonder if some kind of disease is spreading through the slums or something. Kiston didn't forget to add, I didn't pay much attention to that district, so I can't say for sure. Is this enough? Before he could even finish his sentence, the Inquisitor slammed her hand on the table in anger. How dare they? She couldn't keep her composure. You mean there are still people walking astray and forgetting the divine's grace? Seeing her acting like an angry steamed bun, Gretchen thought with amusement. A sugar bun stuffed with a demon. He pondered for a second. All right, this little piece of lore is clearly a hint to pick up a quest. He nodded. Looks like there are still plenty of demons lurking around here. Kiston looked at him skeptically. Demons? You mean right here inside this city? Oliver further suggested, I think this case is well worth investigating. If you get any new information, could you report it back to the church? The guy obediently nodded in compliance. Got it. Gretchen glanced at the guy's attitude. Bro's already exhausted from the night shift, and now he gets saddled with extra work by VIPs. What a tough life. Oh well, deal with it, buddy. He turned and stepped outside. Thank goodness this guy is just a bunch of pixels instead of an overworked corporate slave in real life. The Inquisitor watched his retreating back. Where are you going? He calmly stated, the slums. The two of them hurriedly followed. Oliver smiled as she reminded her, that place is just a hangout spot for pickpockets and beggars anyway. Let's get moving too, cleric. The Inquisitor's eyes sparkled as she looked at him. I'm learning so much from him again. She hurried along right behind Gretchen's back. Let us tag along too, demon-slaying knight. He still felt annoyed. That constant health drain while inside the church was definitely an omen. I bet down the line due to some misunderstanding I'm gonna end up locked in a death match with the church. His pace was so fast that the Inquisitor had to sprint hard to keep up. Gretchen involuntarily recalled her furious attitude. How dare you say that? He grew depressed. What do I do now? I'm already feeling sad. His entire body trembled. Come to think of it, there's definitely gonna be an ultra-cool cinematic cutscene for that part. Just thinking about it gets me hyped, but a game is just a game after all. How could I possibly? Even though nothing had actually happened yet, Gretchen was already freaking out. He reminded himself, no use stressing over what hasn't happened, just enjoy the ride when it comes. A quest popped up. Gloomy omens, speak with pickpockets and beggar. He felt overwhelmingly tired. The quest titles always drop at the most fitting times. The Inquisitor walked right beside him. She asked curiously, hey demon-slaying knight, do you even know the way to the slum? Gretchen annoyedly questioned her. What? Do I have to spell out every little detail for you? Aren't slum layouts pretty much identical in every city anyway? Inwardly, however, he thought, I just follow the cluster of red dots on the minimap, but I can't just blurt that out to her. He muttered, my bad. The Inquisitor didn't get mad at all. Understood, I will observe and learn carefully. Gretchen thought to himself, on the minimap, any human with malicious intent or monster-like entities all show up as red dots anyway. He glanced sideways at the Inquisitor. Whatever, never mind. Gretchen seriously evaluated the situation. Dragging this kid into the slums is definitely a bad fit. He comforted himself, it's probably fine, right? Within a short span of time, the three of them arrived at the rundown slum. Gretchen grew furious that they had actually made it to the slums, questioning, what did you just say? Simon looked flustered, not knowing how to explain. He was left speechless by the current situation. Her stubborn traits turned out to be the least of his worries. The Inquisitor shrieked with indignation, swear before God and tell the truth. Her gaze grew ferocious. Are you certain that people from the church took them away? A short while ago, Gretchen, the Inquisitor, and Oliver had followed the map's directions. Along the way, she kept closely monitoring everything unusual around. Even a shadow flashing past caught her attention. The Inquisitor suddenly told them both, the atmosphere around here feels super sketchy. Gretchen thought to himself, the minimap is literally choked with swarming monsters right now. His expression remained unchanged, as he looked like he was deep in thought. He calmly calculated its time. Suddenly, Silly lunged straight toward him. Right after that, she hurriedly stood up to run away. My bad. Before she could escape, Gretchen stopped her in her track. He coldly questioned, you've got some nerve. Her hands began to tremble. Gretchen looked at Silly with contempt. Cooperate, and you might just keep your wrists attached. He thought to himself, I knew it. Some event was bound to trigger. I predicted it so hard I even prepped my lines in advance. Based on his experience, RPGs usually clearly highlight monsters and quest targets to make them easy to tell apart. But if there are no markers, it means they deliver themselves right to your doorstep. Thinking about this, he sighed softly. I purposely fished my money pouch out of my inventory to use as bait, but Silly angrily cursed under her breath. What terrible luck. Right after that, the Inquisitor slowly walked toward. The Inquisitor's face gradually grew furious. She suddenly yelled out, God teaches us not to covet others' property. According to church doctrine, thieves shall have their hands chopped off. Oliver suddenly stepped forward to stop the Inquisitor. She smiled as she reminded her, sticking strictly to doctrine and discipline is great, but you can't always apply everything rigidly the exact same way. She was about to keep arguing, but that's a sinner who dared to commit crimes right in front of us. Oliver chuckled as she explained. Like we learned from the demon-slaying knight, sometimes you need a little magnanimity. She suddenly recalled Gretchen's demeanor. Didn't you just say you wanted to learn magnanimity from him? The Inquisitor listened in silence. Instead of being reckless, try approaching this with a learning mindset. It seemed those words gave her plenty to ponder for a long while. The Inquisitor nodded in resolution. I don't quite get it, but I'll trust you for now. You probably have your own reasons. Gretchen felt something was off. Wait, did Buddha just manifest right now? She's a priestess. Is that religion even okay? Silly yelled angrily. How much longer are you gonna keep me here? Just spit it out. What do you want from me? He finally paid attention to her right. He commanded, lead the way to whoever's running the pickpocket ring around here. Everyone set off on the road to explore a new location. After enduring all sorts of chaos, they finally tracked down the so-called crime boss. The Inquisitor shouted furiously, did church personnel actually take them away? Simon nodded as he recounted, yes, I swear on my life. I don't get why you guys are asking me this. He felt confused. Weren't they taken away under the guise of rehabilitation by inquisitors like you? The Inquisitor felt deeply insulted, insolent. She shouted angrily, criminal rehabilitation is only permitted to take place within timeframes regulated by the Grand Cathedral. How dare anyone impersonate rehabilitation without authorization? Gretchen felt something was off. Is that really the main issue? Oliver stepped up to remind her, that's not the focal point right now. She turned her head to challenge her. What else could possibly be more important than this? His expression abruptly shifted. I thought this was just an extension of a side quest. Things were far more complicated than he had imagined. It seemed the church was right at the center of the Magian Knight's main storyline route. Gretchen instantly guessed. Looks like the main plot starts right here. He stepped forward to interrogate. When did this start, and how many people have they snatched? Spill everything you know. Simon nodded and recounted. Yes, sir. It all started about a month ago. They didn't grab a bunch all at once, just stealthily picking off one or two people here and there. His hands started flailing around nervously, looking just like human traffickers secretly abducting people. Simon hurriedly added, no, I don't mean they're actually doing that. Why would the church pull a stunt like that? I was just making a comparison. Gretchen was thoroughly surprised, a smoking gun right here. The Inquisitor behind him yelled out, what did you just say? Oliver couldn't take it anymore either. They're rounding people up. She stepped forward to question, does this happen on a regular schedule? Simon's entire body trembled. Yes, regularly. 2 or 3 times a week. Inquisitors usually patrol at fixed hours. He cowered back into the corner. That's why I always warned the kids not to wander outside during those specific time slots. It seemed Oliver had figured something out. Could it be? Her expression turned serious. Could they be sacrificial offerings for the demon? The Inquisitor stepped forward in surprise. What on earth are you talking about? Sacrificial offerings? Since when would the church ever commit such a depraved act? Gretchen abruptly answered her. Since when? That sounds way too naive. He stepped closer and gently placed a hand on her shoulder. His tone was completely calm. Believe it or not, anything can happen in this world. Deep down inside, Gretchen felt a surge of excitement. I absolutely love this trope, where the protagonist matures once the world they used to believe in shatters completely. He chuckled silently, though it's a bit harsh on a kid. Events like these are what give a character's personality real depth. Oliver unexpectedly asked, where did those people get taken? Simon tried his best to recall. I only heard about it from the kids, so beats me, I'm not really sure. Silly spoke up unexpectedly from behind. I know. Catching sight of her, Gretchen felt a bit surprised that she hadn't run away, yet even though her ropes were untied. She continued recounting. Well, I don't know the exact spot right now, but I know someone who probably does. Silly's expression grew serious. Hearing it's about demons, this must be a really big deal, right? Gretchen abruptly stepped closer, startling her. Her terrified expression prevented her from meeting his gaze. What? It seemed his mood was quite cheerful. How adorable. I totally love this type of character too. Naturally, Gretchen still put on a cold front. He ordered Silly to lead the way. After a long stretch of walking, Silly led everyone to a completely different area. Monsters appeared here in countless number. Gretchen didn't care in the least and kept pushing forward. Feeling slightly strange, she glanced back at them. After a moment of thought, she suddenly spoke up. From this point onward is where the real underground slum district actually begins. Silly turned back to warn them. So if you want to pry any information out of anyone, absolutely do not draw your swords. The folks in here are super touchy. She stared straight at the Inquisitor, especially church people like her. They utterly despise anyone from the temple. The Inquisitor was about to retort, I have no desire to get mixed up with petty thieves anyway, when Oliver suddenly called out, Inquisitor. Silly resumed her guide duties. I'm telling you not to pull any stupid moves and drag me down with you. I'm only helping because I see this as a major common issue. Watching the two of them argue, Gretchen suddenly found it kind of cute. He glanced sideways at Silly. Is this NPC playing a tsundere act right now? She practically broadcasted. It's not like I'm worried or anything, you know. He sank into his own thoughts. In a world filled with beastmen tribes like this, I wonder if thinking like that counts as species discrimination. Just as everyone stepped inside, Jashari had been quietly observing them all the entire time. He kept trailing their movements. A notification popped up. Hostile target detected within a 20-meter radius. Catching the system notification, Gretchen instantly slipped into a defensive stance. Silly hurriedly turned back to ask, "What are you doing? I told you not to draw your sword." He stated calmly, "If you don't want me to draw my sword." Having spotted Jashari's appearance, he added, "You guys better get those weapons pointing at me lowered first." The guy couldn't help nodding in praise. As expected, you're quick on your feet. Without wasting time, Jashari immediately made a move. Within mere seconds, he appeared right in front of everyone. He continued evaluating the situation. Dual-colored hair, one-arm armor. Jashari was evidently sharp, muttering, and wearing an eye patch over his right eye. How could I possibly not recognize him? He greeted them with a smile. "Hello there, Mr. Demon-slaying Knight." The Inquisitor looked curiously toward Gretchen. "Demon-slaying Knight, is he an acquaintance of yours?" He gripped his weapon tightly. "Who the hell is this? Is he even in the storyline? There wasn't any character like this in my background bio." Jashari waved his hand to explain. "Don't misunderstand. I only know you from afar since you're pretty famous after all." Gretchen still kept a blank expression, so that's the setup. He coldly asked, "And what do you want? Were you expecting me to praise you for recognizing me?" The guy let out an excited smile. "Oh, not at all. Actually, I'm the one who wants to ask what brings you guys all the way out." He questioned them back. "What kind of wind blew you folks wandering all the way down to this place?" Jashari continued mocking. "I see you even dragged a bunch of church scumbags along with you, planning to aid and abet more kidnappings." The Inquisitor reacted angrily. "What did that jerk just say?" Silly rushed in front of her to block. "No way. He said he came here to investigate the people who got kidnapped." Gretchen suddenly found it funny. "Just a moment ago I was thinking these two looked just like cats, and out of nowhere a feline beastman shows up right in front of me. Even I'm getting confused." She repeated herself to Jashari once more. "He said this might be related to demons." Naturally, the guy remained highly skeptical. "Wait, you mean demons kidnapped these kids?" His expression abruptly changed. "No way. Could it be that?" Jashari grew suspicious. "Could the church?" Gretchen cut him off. "I don't know. Didn't you hear me say I'm here to investigate the truth?" Sensing the situation turning sour, Oliver stepped up. "Look, I'm well aware the church's reputation has hit rock bottom, but we're outsiders from out of town investigating this church as third party." She stared straight into Jashari's eyes. "Please cooperate. Shouldn't we be working to prevent any further casualty?" He stood frozen in place, lost in thought for a long while. Right after that, it looked like he finally reached a decision. Jashari snapped his fingers to signal his subordinate. As his subordinates appeared, he instructed, "Go report this." The guy looked surprised upon hearing that. "You're planning to waltz right in there yourself?" Jashari nodded definitely. "If things go south, I've still got plenty of tricks to slip away on my own." His subordinate obediently complied. "Understood." A system notification popped up. "Gloomy omens. Speak with pickpockets and beggars. Arrive at the location where the kidnapped victims were taken." Gretchen thought to himself, the Thieves Guild. Is this NPC a regular client here, or does he run the Intelligence Guild? He sighed helplessly. He looked vaguely familiar from somewhere, but it was probably too dark to remember properly. Jashari told everyone, "All right, follow me." He didn't forget to warn them. "Around here, we don't do the whole waiting around for you slowpokes thing." Those words left all three of them frozen in place for a brief moment. Oliver sighed and complained, "I never expected that halfway through my life, I'd still be running around doing this kind of legwork." She didn't forget to add, "Even so, I won't hold you guys back." Haste. The Inquisitor smiled as she turned back. "Thanks for the buff, Archmage." Gretchen had to admit, that's a top-tier buff. He asked himself internally, come to think of it, this quest looks like it pays pretty well. He couldn't shake a bad premonition. "I hope I can finish this before my full dive time runs out." The scene shifted to a bustling commercial district. Jashari hid inside a small alley to assess the situation. He warned everyone, "Right over there." The Inquisitor asked curiously. They led people inside that place. Staring at the storefront ahead, she grew suspicious. A vegetable shop. Oliver voiced her thoughts. "I can sense a barrier. Looks like it was set up by someone extremely skilled." Jashari turned back to praise her. "You actually know your stuff. spot on. There's an extremely powerful barrier down in the basement and the warehouse. Gretchen's expression remained unchanged as he looked at the system notification. Arrive at the location where the kidnapped victims were taken. Find a way to break in and track down the victims' traces. Thinking internally, judging by the quest update, this is definitely the right place. Oliver felt something was off. Since this barrier focuses purely on visual concealment, smashing through it probably won't be too hard. Gretchen suddenly asked. The quest log didn't mention the word stealth anywhere, right? The system practically answered him, spot on. He marched straight ahead. I'm going in. Jashari reacted in a panic. Are you out of your mind? He angrily warned, the guards will swarm us like ants. Plus, we don't even have a clue what's waiting for us inside. He still didn't care, not my problem. Gretchen braced himself for the next challenge. He coldly stated, the crime of kidnapping is way worse than breaking and entering anyway, whatever. Gretchen strode straight forward. If you're scared, hang back. Everyone else watched his retreating back. With so much going on, he felt exhausted. I'm too tired. Whatever pops into my head just comes straight out of my mouth. He wondered to himself, they're NPCs, so they're bound to automatically follow me anyway, right? Finding it utterly baffling, Jashari turned back to ask, is he always this reckless? Oliver chuckled as she explained, we've barely known each other for a week. She spoke with a confident tone, but I can tell he's got more than enough strength and guts to pull it off. The Inquisitor calmly stated, just yesterday, we managed to capture a demon pactor right inside the church. The guy grew deeply suspicious. What, a flesh and blood demon pactor? She nodded with certainty. Absolutely, and the Inquisitor's gaze turned resolute. Though I hate to believe it, if the church really is colluding with a demon pactor, and if they're actually rounding up sacrificial victims. Sensing the situation escalating, Jashari hurriedly warned, we're out of time. The Inquisitor brushed past him. If you're scared, go hide in a corner and cower, kid. Acting as our guide is the extent of your duty. Oliver smiled as she chatted with her. Your thinking has gotten a lot more thorough in such a short time, cleric. She replied right back. I just had an awakening after observing and reflecting on the demon-slaying knight's actions. Jashari stood frozen in place, watching the two of them walk away. He sighed and clutched his head in disbelief. What gives them the confidence to just barge in there blindly without any prep? Unbelievable, whatever. Yet it looked like he was still heavily hesitating. After a moment of thought, Jashari still decided to head inside, muttering, at this rate, my lifespan is gonna get cut short and I'll die early. Stepping right inside the house, Gretchen felt completely exhausted by these people. He looked around the place. Are you guys seriously not coming down? He looked somewhat helplessly at the people he had already tied up. I've got everything all prepped and ready to head down to the basement, you know. Gretchen kicked the basement door wide open. A staircase leading downward revealed itself, and Gretchen thought to himself with interest, an underground passage. Judging by this stench, a zone boss fight is definitely coming up. Clearing this area and logging out right after would be ideal. The Inquisitor exclaimed in surprise, goodness, did you clear out everything all by yourself? The other two chimed in with admiration. As expected of you, always striking without showing any mercy. Gretchen ordered them, if you feel a guilty conscience, just back off. Seriously, what a drag, you idiots, I've been waiting forever. The Inquisitor tried her best to catch up. No, please wait a moment. Gretchen silently descended the stair. He froze in thought, what on earth is this? A sense of unease washed over him, and the Inquisitor followed behind, asking hesitantly, this is strange. Could it be? I can sense an intensely powerful demonic aura coming from down below. The Inquisitor turned back to urge the other two, hurry up. It looks like they're plotting something down there. Oliver immediately cast a spell. Understood, let's hurry. Gretchen thought to himself, come to think of it, this is my very first time running a party in this game. I wonder how realistic they made the companion NPC's party AI. He took the lead, guiding the entire team downward. This is actually pretty thrilling. Up above at the underground entrance, vegetables lay scattered all over the floor. Deep down inside the subterranean passageway, the group arrived at a door along the dungeon hallway. The lock was sliced right in two by a surge of force. Gretchen lifted his foot and kicked the next door flying. The guys inside started panicking. No, the summoning ritual hasn't. Damn it, why right now? The hero. Jashari stared down his opponent with an ice-cold gaze. Meanwhile, Oliver closed her eyes and began channeling magic. Gretchen had already condensed blood chi in the palm of his hand. The Inquisitor shouted loudly, that's right. Your executioner has arrived. One guy decided to stall for time. We just need to hold out a little longer. A mass of dark chi condensed in the palm of his hand, rise up. Slaves of the netherworld appear. And thus skeletons, low-tier fiends born from white bones, saturated with demonic chi, manifested. Oliver asked the person next to her, "Can you cover me while I chant my spell?" He agreed, "That's too simple." The Inquisitor fought with an undying conviction. God is always with me. Gretchen rushed forward from behind. He declared, "Victory shall belong to my blade." Gretchen single-handedly wiped out the horde of fiends. Glory belongs to heaven. He stated with confidence, "I won't let the front lines get breached." Witnessing this, the Inquisitor was deeply moved. She cried out, "You're amazing, but there are just too many of them." Determination flashed across the Inquisitor's eyes. "Though I am still lacking, I was also trained to hold a shield and protect the front lines." Gretchen mentally scoffed with disgust. "No, the ones you're killing aren't giving me any EXP at all. But as for this quest, don't tell me." A voice echoed out, "I have already prepared flesh and blood for you. Be born in the darkness and bring death to this land." Higher-tier skeletons were summoned. The hooded man spoke then, "Gretchen, you will pay the price for your betrayal. Turn him into the very first offering for the darkness." A barrage of dark auras surged straight toward Gretchen. The other two companions panicked. "No, knight sir." Even the Inquisitor directed her attention toward Gretchen. A cold glint flashed in Gretchen's eyes. A deep blue-green aura swirled around the spot where he stood, forcing the skeletal minions to keep their distance at the outer rim. The Inquisitor lunged forward, slashing away the minions. "I'm coming to save you right now." Gretchen shot straight up into the air, escaping that gloomy aura. He still looked completely safe and sound. The Inquisitor breathed a sigh of relief. Just as expected, this actually turned out great. He brought his sword crashing down toward the spot where the malevolent hands were reaching up. "I'm going to wipe out every last one of you at once." The sword plunged straight down as dark wisps of chi crept upward, a localized earthquake. Overwhelming sword intent descended like a bolt of heavenly lightning. The Inquisitor had to use her shield to block the flying debris. She gasped in awe, terrifying. What a terrifying power. On Wander's side, they stared in utter disbelief. "That is." He coldly called out his name, Gretchen. Radiating a murderous aura, he glared daggers at his opponent. Wander's terrified expression was reflected right in his pupils. Blood oozed from the corners of the guy's eyes as crushing pressure bore down. Having exhausted everything to summon the demon, Wander shrieked, "Kill him. Kill him immediately. Hurry up, kill that guy." Gretchen broke through the skeletal encirclement and charged ahead. The guy fled for his life. "No, stay back. Save me, I don't want to die." One guy muttered worriedly, "Wait, if we run in this direction." He declared, "Plunge down into the deepest abyss of hell, you scum." He slashed his sword across the entire group as fresh blood sprayed wildly. Their bodies collapsed onto the blood-soaked ground. Blood chi was being absorbed by him. Gretchen muttered, "Good grief, I thought I was a goner." A system notification appeared. "You have just survived a short but intensely fierce solo battle. You have acquired the injured status. Your HP has dropped," followed by a series of similar alerts. He thought to himself in awe, "I never expected this skill to be so overpowered, giving such an op move right at the start of the game. Just how warped does the difficulty have to be to hand out something like this? A legendary game giving out great skills for free. The difficulty will make you curse even after using all of them up. By the way, what on earth are my teammates doing?" The staff in one companion's hand was radiating a brilliant glow. The Inquisitor also charged forward. "I will fulfill my duty as well." A burning determination shone in her eyes. The Inquisitor rushed frantically toward the enemy. She smashed her shield right into the guy's face. "Face your punishment." Jashari anxiously asked, "How much longer do I gotta cover you, mate?" Oliver replied, "I'm about to show you." A magical array manifested across the ceiling, carrying a massive amount of mana. She raised her staff high and commanded, "Everyone, take cover." Mana blanketed the entire area. "Obliterate the wicked." Blue flames scorched the monsters as they shrieked, "It's too hot, we're burning, help." Gretchen glanced apathetically at the sight of them burning in the massive fire. He thought to himself, did I accidentally say my inner thoughts out loud? I didn't even mean to make them feel guilty at first." Jashari gasped in admiration. "Talk about a gathering of absolute talents." He asked with disappointment, "Is that it?" The Inquisitor reported, "Knight, looks like we've cleared out the remaining forces here." Oliver said with regret, "If only we could have captured one or two alive." Gretchen cast a side glance. He walked over to the guy. "Looks like there's one suitable candidate right here." Wander gritted his teeth. "You'll regret this, Gretchen." Gretchen's hand hovered downward. He commanded coldly, "Shut your mouth, trap. My name isn't for the likes of you to call out." The guy's collar was grabbed and hoisted up by Gretchen. Suddenly, the guy curved his lips into a cold smirk. Wander laughed like a madman. He answered, say whatever you want. It's all going according to your wishes anyway, because we're nothing but trash. We're nothing at all. However, don't you forget that our king still. The guy raised his bruised, battered hand, yearns for you. The sound of dripping fresh blood echoed from behind. The Inquisitor instantly sensed danger. She shrieked a warning, dodge, demon-slaying knight. An immense demonic aura was heading straight toward them from that direction. A massive surge of blood chi was emerging right behind Wander. He gritted his teeth, forcing himself to endure the incoming pressure. Blood chi billowed upward. Gretchen's entire body was blown backward. The Inquisitor lunged forward, using her shield to catch him. She asked worriedly, "Are you all right?" Gretchen scolded. "Are your eyes just for show?" He rubbed his aching body my back. Even with pain sensitivity turned down, that still hurts like hell. Jashari muttered speechlessly. Good grief, what kind of absurd nonsense is this? Can we even handle something like this on our own? The summoned monster was a knocker, an aquatic demon that hunted humans by crawling out of wells, equipped with extremely toxic teeth. They were facing off against something terrifying. Gretchen thought to himself, a bit worrisome, but since I didn't get a quest to stop the summoning, this must be a mandatory event. Knocker's eyes darted toward them. Its mouth gaped wide as it lunged forward. Its body stretched out toward their direction. The Inquisitor stepped forward. Everyone, hide behind me. She used her shield to block while praying, "O Lord, please grant me the strength to resist the wicked." Knocker's head slammed heavily against the shield. The ground beneath her feet cracked from the sheer pressure. The Inquisitor let out a battle cry to pump herself up. For the time being, it still couldn't break through the defense. Gretchen thought to himself, tanking it with pure strength. She's seriously cracked when it comes to physical power. Impressive and all, but couldn't you just sidestep and dodge instead? Jashari spoke up. Is it really smart to just take hits like this? Mage Lady, don't you know anything about this thing? Like some weak spot we can target while holding it off, she revealed. That's a demon called a knocker. Its teeth carry deadly poison. And its weak spot is, Gretchen thought to himself, well, she already pulled off a badass tanking move, so I gotta fulfill my role as the damage dealer. He bolted straight toward the monster's weak point, its head. Right alongside Oliver's deduction, it was indeed its head. Gretchen closed in on the knocker's body. A murderous glint flashed in his eyes. An overwhelming surge of power slashed down toward its head, unleashing devastation. The Inquisitor stared blankly as fresh blood gushed right before her eyes. The other two were equally shocked. A torrent of blood spewed from the monster. But then Gretchen noticed something was off. Boom! A loud noise rang out as the monster's head was cleanly severed by his blade, the stench of blood permeating the air, while Gretchen stood tall without a single scratch on it. Seeing him defeat the monster with such effortless ease, Wander couldn't help but be struck with utter astonishment as he stammered, "What? How could he pull that off with just a single strike?" The girl from Wander's guild stared in horror and disbelief, shouting over to him, "The knocker's scales are as hard as steel, yet he sliced clean through them in a single blow." Meanwhile, Gretchen's mind was just as chaotic as theirs. I'm wondering the same thing myself, but outwardly, he maintained a completely nonchalant and calm composure. Most players of this game played for the sheer thrill of defeating bosses, enjoying the satisfaction of chipping away at an enemy's health bar or smashing specific body parts. For instance, the knocker possessed certain weak points across its body that allowed players to defeat it more easily, though beating it was never a simple task, which meant nobody expected its head to be blown clean off by just a skill like that. He stood there in a daze, staring down at its severed head. Gretchen looked intently at the monster's head in deep thought. In the original game, this boss didn't die that easily from a single headshot. What on earth were the developers thinking when they designed this boss? Is it really over just like that? Or is there some hidden mechanic where another phase pops out of the head? While he was closely observing the head, the monster's body suddenly twitched. Hearing the noise, he glanced over just in time as the monster's tail lashed out straight toward him. A loud crash echoed through the dungeon. Jashari suddenly materialized in front of him, crying out anxiously, "Good Lord, Lord Gretchen." Seeing the guy step up to shield him, Gretchen felt a brief wave of surprise. Jashari turned his head back anxiously. "You gotta watch out for your blind spots too, you know." Inside Gretchen's mind, a wave of panic swept over him as he felt utterly flustered. Oops, I got too distracted by the severed head and dropped my guard. Talk about a lifesaver, man, this NPC. Jashari retreated back to where Gretchen stood, quietly observing his reaction. Gretchen gazed gloomily at Jashari, mentally recalling the game's lore, looking at this NPC closely under the light. A wave of excitement flooded his mind as he took in Jashari's appearance. Isn't this the exact character model for a Master Thief representative? Which skill tree branch did he belong to again? I completely forgot. Noticing Gretchen staring at him, Jashari started sweating awkwardly and stammered out, "Ha, you don't look like the type to get shaken up by a tail whip anyway. Guess I was just sticking my nose where it didn't belong, huh? Please stop glaring at me like that. I'm backing off right now." With that, the guy's figure drifted further away. Gretchen felt a pang of embarrassment internally. "Ah no, I was just." Inside he felt all awkward, but outwardly he kept his face completely cold and said nothing. "Well, whatever. Whether I let him join the party or not, I'll figure it out later." He turned his gaze back to the monster, gripping his sword hilt tightly, while Jashari wisely backed away step by step. Time to clean up this miserable piece of trash first. Now, even though its head had been chopped off, the monster still refused to die. It managed to stand back up and stare at him, while a stream of purple liquid pooled together to form a fake temporary head. The system chimed, "Headless knocker." The demon eyeing its sacrificial offering is making one final struggle, strike its true weak point. Suddenly the monster thrashed violently, and the liquid head failed to hold any shape. In this world, NPCs usually assume the head is its weak point. To put it simply, explaining the details would take way too long. But its actual weak point was a bit more troublesome. The reverse scale, a single scale growing right under its chin, famously known as the fatal weak point of Eastern dragons. Mythological creatures in hero legends shared this exact weakness of the reverse scale, which usually stayed hidden until you whittled down a certain portion of its health bar. He immediately bolted forward toward the thrashing monster. Watching its desperate, struggling movements, he couldn't help but coldly remark, clinging stubbornly to life, "How utterly pathetic." His icy voice rang out, "All your struggling ends right here." Simultaneously, the sword in his hand became coated in a deep purple glow, unleashing a bizarre demonic energy. His mind raced with a flurry of stray thoughts. Normally hitting the reverse scale finishes the job, but for maximum dramatic effect, using a piercing thrust would look so badass. Right as he finished thinking up that idea, he sprang into action, his deep voice rumbling, earth-shatter. The power gathered on the blade in his hand, compressing tightly into a brilliant orb of purple light. From within the light orb, a sharp sword formed, pointing straight toward the knocker, while the crushing pressure stirred up a fierce gale whipping through the space around them. He suddenly froze in his tracks and looked down at the ground. Before he even had a chance to unleash his attack, the demon had already collapsed face first onto the ground out of nowhere, and the reverse scale on its body now featured a massive, gaping hole. The floor was now stained and splattered with patches of blood. Gretchen frowned as he observed the monster. Its body was now glowing faintly on the ground, leaving him utterly baffled. What on earth just happened? I was clearly planning to use Earth Burst. I poured all my remaining skill points into Earth Burst, so I didn't even have enough points left to learn Piercing Thrust. Yet it triggered the exact moment I wished I had Piercing Thrust. What is this, a recognition error or a game bug? A hurried voice suddenly rang out, cutting off his train of thought. The Inquisitor had wrestled Wander to the ground, tying him up tightly as she fumed. "How could you commit such an act against the king? You are forbidden from betraying the sovereign." Her resolute gaze locked onto him as she asked, "Demon-slaying knight, will you execute this wretch with your own hands?" Gretchen pondered internally. "Let's just wrap up this quest first. I'll submit a bug report once I log out." Gretchen said seriously, "There's still one enemy left." His brows twitched slightly as his calm voice echoed, "All right, keep rambling all you want." With that, he slowly stepped toward the guy struggling on the ground. "Let's see how much of my wrath you can take." Wander stared up at him in sheer terror as he approached. The sharp blade in his hand inched slowly toward the guy's neck. Wander was terrified out of his mind, trembling tears streaming down his face as he stared blankly at the approaching sword. His voice dropped low and ice cold. "I'm quite curious myself." Seeing the intense anger radiating from him, Oliver softened her tone. "Wait a minute, knight." Gretchen frowned uncomfortably upon hearing her interrupt. "Are they trying to butt in again?" Sensing his irritation, she sighed by way of explanation. "Please execute him as cleanly as possible. We need to submit solid proof back to the church." Oliver urged from behind him, "Come on, hurry up. That guy's been running his mouth and giving me a headache this whole time." Hearing the impatience in her voice, a cold sweat broke out across his back. Gretchen didn't reply to her words. He just narrowed his eyes and glared straight down at the guy's face. Faster than lightning, he finished him off with a single fatal slash. The guy's head parted from his neck, rolling a few spins across the floor. The cowardly whimpering voice was gone from the dungeon for good, while a long trail of blood pooled from his headless body. The rest of them stared coldly at the severed head. Oliver flatly remarked, "Now let's hurry so everyone can join in to offer prayers and comfort the souls of the sacrificial victims." Jashari awkwardly hesitated. Sorry." The Inquisitor and Oliver turned their heads to look as the guy asked them deferentially, "May I ask you for a favor?" He stammered out, "We'd like to leave just one of them alive." The dungeon floor was littered with corpses. Jashari spoke with a heavy heart, A lot of my comrades and family members are mixed up in this pile of bodies. His voice sounded grief-stricken as he stared at the floor. I want to give them at least a chance for payback and send them off properly. The Inquisitor firmly rejected. Your plight is truly tragic, but the law does not permit taking revenge with your own hands. Instead, the Grand Cathedral will hold a solemn requiem mass for the victims. Gretchen stayed silent, coldly turning his face away while Oliver watched him go. Jashri cut across her with a sarcastic tone. Oh right, a requiem mass hosted by the exact same church that murdered our families. Sounds super comforting. Hearing the mockery in his tone, the Inquisitor snapped angrily. What is wrong with you? Don't you know those demon worshippers are just corrupted degenerates? At this point, Gretchen was standing right in front of a guy shivering amidst the pile of corpses. She grew increasingly furious, her voice rising as she glared at Jashri. Other churches will thoroughly inspect this place, and a proper, highly honorable memorial will be held for the victim. Hearing her defensive attitude, the guy sneered. Sure, sounds super trustworthy. You aren't planning to bury them right alongside the cultists and slap the label of thieves on them, are you? Growing fed up with his impudence, the Inquisitor barked back, insolent. We're only sentencing them according to the lawful code against theft. The shouting match between the two showed no signs of stopping. Hearing the Inquisitor's absurd logic, the guy finally lost his temper, veins bulging visibly across his face as he gritted out through clenched teeth. Who is taking what and using it as an excuse? Jashri couldn't stand her absurd words any longer. He ground his teeth in anger, the veins on his face bulging. He forced out each word. Who is using what as an excuse now? Suddenly, a body was hurled forcefully onto the ground, letting out a painful groan. The abrupt intrusion startled both of them into silence. Gretchen walked up to them, stating indifferently, "Take him away." She looked at him with frustration. Knight. He frowned at her. If you had rounded up those pickpockets according to actual law in the first place, you would have flushed these pests out ages ago. Realizing he had a point, she hesitated. Well, that. He turned to look at Jashri. Keep this firmly locked in your head. His tone remained flat. If that demon manages to escape, you'll be offering up your own neck right alongside it. Jashri didn't seem scared by the threat. Instead, he answered seriously. Yeah, that definitely won't happen. A system notification popped up. Gloomy omens. Eliminate all enemies. Travel to the temple and track down the traitors inside. Seeing the prompt flash by, Gretchen sheathed his sword behind his back, thinking happily to himself, awesome, looks like this main quest is almost done. The Inquisitor glared at him angrily. Gretchen felt a bit awkward under her stare, panicking internally. Don't look at me like that, little kimchi dumpling. This fits my character set up perfectly, and plus I need to grind friendship points with my future party members. He muttered to himself, even though the pain sensitivity got lowered, my whole body still aches all over. All I want right now is a hot bath and to crash hard onto a bed. I might as well log out right about now and get some rest. The moment the thought of resting crossed his mind, without hesitation, Gretchen smiled faintly and said, log out. A glaring red system notification popped up, command unavailable. Seeing that message pop up, he froze solid. Thinking it was just a minor technical glitch, he tried again patiently, log out. Once again, the red notification flashed, command unavailable. That was the exact moment the gravity of the situation finally hit him, leaving him standing there completely dazed. Log out, log out, log out. The Inquisitor was standing right in front of him, staring blankly, while Gretchen anxiously read through the error logs. Command cannot be executed. A long string of red system messages filled his vision, every single one of them stating that the command could not be carried out. Gretchen stared blankly at the wall of red text. His brain practically stopped functioning. He just stood there staring vacantly at the red error. Suddenly, a terrifying realization dawned on him, cold sweat pouring down his back. A logout error in a full-dive VR game. Are these guys out of their minds? Panic flooded his mind. If news of a bug like this ever leaked out, the servers would get shut down immediately. Or wait, is it because I'm currently inside a dungeon that the command is locked? A voice abruptly cut through the chaotic mess of thoughts in his head. Night. The Inquisitor suddenly turned to look at Oliver, asking, did you see that? She turned back to look at where he was standing, muttering, I don't see anything at all. Suddenly, her eyes widened in shock. Oliver's words echoed in her mind. Normally, a host possessed and invaded by a demonic parasite loses their mind and turns into a mindless corpse. On the contrary, that kid seems to have suppressed the demon, seized control, and started wielding its power. The Inquisitor stiffened, her hands gripping her mace tightly as her face filled with vigilance. Regaining her composure, she wrapped both hands around her mace. At that moment, Gretchen abruptly turned and walked away. Seeing his action, she froze in surprise. She asked in a daze, where are you going? With a cold, sharp gaze locked onto her, Gretchen ground out each word through his teeth. I'm going to purge the degenerate who colluded with the fiends. The two of them stood behind him, quietly tracking his movements, while Gretchen kept tapping at empty air, repeatedly muttering, "Log out, log out." Oliver noticed his strange behavior and turned to chat with her. His condition really does look unusual, but do you sense any demonic chi from him? The Inquisitor hesitated as she observed him, then spoke up. No, not to an alarming degree yet, but at that moment Gretchen was solely focused on finding a way back home. He didn't have the bandwidth to care about what they were saying, repeating those two words over and over. Log out, log out. The Inquisitor grew worried watching him. Right now he must be going through a brutal internal struggle against. The two of them stared fixedly at his retreating back, the Inquisitor's gaze filled with fierce determination to help. Jashri also noticed his bizarre actions and asked with confusion, "Is there something wrong with the knight?" Hearing him ask, Oliver gently explained, "It's hard to rush to any conclusions right now." The guy smiled brightly at Oliver's reply. "True. Like you said earlier, you haven't known him for very long, and he doesn't seem like the type to share much about himself anyway." Hearing the guy's carefree remarks, Oliver couldn't help letting out a sigh. "You certainly possess sharp observational skill." Flattered by the compliment, Jashri grinned proudly. "I'm just a humble thief after all. Earning a living depends entirely on reading people's expressions like this." Standing at a distance and overhearing the guy's casual banter, the Inquisitor glared at him furiously. Noticing her hostile attitude, Oliver tried to mediate. "Watch your tone." Feeling the killing intent radiating from her, Jashri cowered aside. "Whoops, my bad." Oliver spoke seriously. "Either way, unless you plan on using divine power to escort him, it's best to finish off someone who contracted with a demon before dragging them along. Who knows what kind of stunts they might pull." The guy who had been captured remained lying unconscious and motionless on the floor. Jashri looked over at her and asked in a flat tone, "Would it still be dangerous if I severed all his tendons and cut out his tongue?" Stained patches of blood covered the dungeon floor while the two of them chatted on their way following behind Gretchen. Oliver stated, "A demon's power is entirely different from regular magic. That method at best is just a temporary band-aid, so don't lower your guard for a second." Jashri replied solemnly, "I'll finish him off before sunrise today, so don't worry." Oliver turned to look at the Inquisitor. "Let's head back up, hero." Startled by the address, she answered, "Ah, yes." She turned toward the dungeon exit. At that moment, the Inquisitor approached the ascending staircase. Her gaze was filled with unwavering resolve as she looked upward. "Please guide us along the path of righteousness." At that moment, vegetables lay scattered and rolling across the floor. In the commercial district of Sorman, the sunset was gradually dipping below the horizon. The group of them stepped out from a vegetable shop. Jashri quietly observed him before flatly stating, "We thieves never forget a grudge." Gretchen ignored the guy's remark and kept walking indifferently. Seeing no response from him, Jashri continued, "And our debts of gratitude are carved into our bones as well." "I'll definitely repay this favor." Gretchen only replied flatly, "Not necessary." Seeing his polite demeanor, Jashri hurried his pace to walk side by side with him, smiling as he said, "Even if you say it's not necessary, I'm still gonna do it." Gretchen once again rejected the offer. "I already told you it's not necessary." Inside his mind, he was actually panicking. "Aside from letting me log out right now, I don't need a single damn thing else in this world." Quest popped up, gloomy omens. Eliminate all enemies, travel to the temple, find the traitors inside the temple. Seeing the notification appear, he cursed angrily under his breath. Now is seriously not the time for this quest prompt to pop up. Let me log out right this second, you garbage game. Jashri drifted off toward a different street. "If you hate this place that much, I'll head on first." Gretchen ignored the guy's rambling, his mind completely tangled in chaos while the logout function remained totally broken, yet the NPC's response sensitivity was ridiculously high. He stared tiredly at the notification window, repeating, "Log out, log out." "I already opened the settings menu earlier and mashed the button repeatedly, and it still did nothing." A prompt popped up, "Command cannot be executed." His fingers tapped furiously on the logout button to no avail. At this point, real fear began to set in. If I genuinely can't log out like this, what's gonna happen to me in real life? I live alone, after all. I work as a webtoon creator, currently taking some time off, so I don't have any deadlines, meaning not a single coworker is gonna drop by my apartment to check on me. Plus, I already bragged to my friends about playing Hero Legends, so they definitely won't try contacting me or dropping by my room for quite a while. Obviously, if I'm trapped inside this VR capsule indefinitely, without any specialized nutrient maintenance, IV fluids. He suddenly remembered, right, the hardware safety systems on the capsule are designed to kick in for emergencies anyway, right? VR gaming pods always come equipped with built-in safety features to handle any unexpected anomalies, right? Panic-stricken, he screamed up toward the sky, "Emergency protocol. Force shutdown gaming capsule. A terrifying red warning notification flashed in his vision. Command cannot be executed. Terrified, he clutched his head in his hands. Damn it all to hell. The rest of them stood silently behind him, watching his unhinged behavior, while Gretchen shrieked at the top of his lungs, "Log out. Force shutdown. Turn it off right now. Damn it, what a piece of trash game. Shut it down already." Oliver watched his frantic actions with mounting anxiety. "What's wrong, demonic knight? Talk to me." Meanwhile, the Inquisitor rushed over in a panic upon seeing his erratic behavior, shouting, "Why on earth are you acting so insane right now? Did you not hear a word I just said?" The guards on patrol heard the screaming and hurried over. "Who's making a racket over there?" Seeing the situation worsening, Oliver grew nervous. "Oh no, the guards." Her face darkened as she glanced at him, worrying anxiously, if he snaps and goes on a bloody rampage here. With that, she pressed her lips together tightly. "Up until this exact moment, I've been totally clueless, completely in the dark. Looks like there's still a ton of things I haven't realized yet, but that's just how life goes." She stepped forward with unwavering resolve and took a running leap into the air. "As for what I actually know, I didn't have a clue beforehand either." She gripped her mace tightly, aiming straight for where he stood. The Inquisitor's scream pierced the air. Snap out of it. She brought her mace crashing down right into his face. Her heavy blow left him wide-eyed in sheer astonishment. "What the hell?" Looking down at him from above, she spoke in a calm voice. "As expected, you're not someone who goes down that easily from just a little something like this." Only then did his brain clear up. What the hell is this? What kind of twisted script is this? Why is the plot progression being forced on me so artificially? It feels like this whole scene is being engineered just to pull a plot twist. Glaring down at him with an icy stare, she didn't blink once. He cursed inwardly with frustration. Why is she treating me like this all of a sudden? And why the hell isn't my pain-dampening setting working anymore, damn it? Seeing his blank expression, the Inquisitor smiled gently. She spoke softly, "Anyway, I'm just glad your right arm seems to have calmed down." Gretchen's left cheek was dented from her smash, and blood started trickling from his nose. Hearing her words, he asked in a daze, "What?" The Inquisitor blushed as she explained, "Weren't you just struggling because the demon inside you tried to revolt?" As she said this, a hint of pride washed over her, feeling like she had just done something genuinely helpful for him. Gretchen stood back up calmly, but upon hearing that statement, his brain stalled out completely once more. She thumped her chest firmly to display absolute trust. "Don't worry, I haven't doubted you for a sec." Her jade-green eyes reflected his entire figure as she spoke with conviction. "I believe that in the end, you will conquer that demon, and you will never bow down to it." She gripped her weapon tightly, speaking with self-assurance. "So if something like this ever happens again, please trust me," the Inquisitor declared resolutely, a blazing aura surging up behind her. "Until you come to your senses, I'll stall for you no matter what it takes." Seeing her antics, he couldn't help but feel suspicious. What on earth is this kid rambling about? He turned to look at Oliver, his mind completely scrambled. Why is she suddenly acting like this? Explain this to me right now, mage lady. Catching Oliver's unreadable expression, he grew even more suspicious. Seriously though, what gives? She looked at him, asking gently, "Are you genuinely okay?" Hearing her ask, he suddenly realized he understood the context now, but why did it have to flare up so abrupt? They just blurt out whatever they feel like. Is this some kind of hard-coded dialogue trigger? He annoyedly snapped, "Are your eyes just for decoration?" He suddenly remembered, so while I was busy wrestling with the logout button earlier, the demon in my arm actually tried to mute. Gretchen looked down at his right arm while a bizarre voice echoed inside his head. "You'll do wonderfully." An image flashed of it trying to take over his body. Remembering that made him furious. At a moment like this, the lingering trauma from almost having my body hijacked by a demon in the past should have flared up right here, right? Man, my roleplay immersion got completely ruined by this dumb game bug. Normally, in situations like this, he'd catch on instantly without needing to think, so he stated flatly, "I don't have time to waste with people dense enough not to even realize." Oliver calmly cut across his words. "No, even if you hate it, I still need a clear answer." She stepped closer to him, speaking with firm resolve. "Is it really?" She bowed her head behind him, speaking deferentially. "Completely fine with that right arm of yours." His gray pupils cast a side glance toward her. "Oh ho." With a sarcastic tone, he retorted, "What's wrong? Does that suddenly offend your precious sense of hypocrisy?" Oliver wasn't fazed by his harsh words, explaining calmly, "I didn't mean it that way. We're just worried that whatever you're suppressing." He angrily growled out, "I'll keep hunting down and wiping out demons, that's all there is to it." His icy glare pierced straight through Oliver. He gripped his right arm tightly, gritting his teeth in annoyance. "I don't care what you guys think. I'm only traveling with you because our goals align on erasing demons. Instead of wasting breath on this kind of nonsense, you should have just done your job properly and taken out another demon by now." When he spat those words out, he refused to turn his face to look at. Seeing his stubborn attitude, Oliver's voice remained even. I was just asking if there's a chance you might turn into that demon, that's all. He gritted his teeth. The cheek she had smashed earlier now throbbed with a dark bruise as Gretchen annoyedly muttered, obviously not. The Inquisitor interrupted their tense exchange. There is zero chance of that ever happening, Archmage. Hearing her speak up, Oliver lowered her head. She placed a hand over her heart, expressing absolute trust. Like I said before, I have complete faith in his reason and willpower. Since humans are creatures incapable of achieving perfection all on our own, I was taught never to forget trusting one another so we can walk forward together. If that's the case, I'm certain this meeting and journey together has true meaning. The sunset washed over her, making the view look strangely peaceful. Her green eyes locked onto him with absolute certainty. So just like the divine, I will wait and stay right by your side. I'll endure it. He said nothing, silently observing her, listening to those words of trust until he came to his senses. Hearing her heartfelt confession, he pressed his lips together, speechless. A moment later, once he regained his composure, he let out a long, weary sigh. He turned and walked away, tossing remarks over his shoulder. Your eyesight hasn't improved one bit, has it? Hearing him say that, the Inquisitor immediately fired back. Oh, my eyesight. I don't have any specific injuries, but thanks for worrying about me. Oliver stepped in to clarify. I'm pretty sure he didn't mean worrying about a physical injury. Hearing Oliver say that, she hesitated. Oh, well then. Suddenly she looked toward him, while Gretchen seized the chance while she wasn't looking to bolt. Seeing him sprint off, she yelled after him, where are you running off to? At least say something before taking off. He bolted while lost in thought. I'm seriously gonna lose my mind here. Even if this is part of the storyline, we've barely known each other for long. If they keep showering me with endless goodwill and trust like this, an otaku heavily addicted to role-playing games like me is gonna have no choice but to surrender his entire soul. Inside, he felt all mushy and warm, but his rationality screamed at him to keep running. Whatever, just log out. It's bound to work eventually anyway. The Inquisitor smiled as she chatted with Oliver. We should chase after him too, Archmage. Oliver could only sigh in response. He's running off again. Talk about abusing the elderly. With that, she closed her eyes. Oliver's even voice drifted out. Do you think this is really going to be fine, hero? Hearing Oliver ask, the Inquisitor looked over in surprise. What do you mean? Oliver explained. The power we witnessed from him down in the basement far surpasses anything we've ever seen before. But at the same time, it's dangerously out of control. If he gets swallowed up by the demon and snaps, will we actually be able to stop him? To be completely honest, I have zero confidence. Oliver looked at her seriously. You seem to have a lot on your mind too, hero. The Inquisitor hesitated for a moment. She lowered her head and murmured, a moment ago, I caught a glimpse of fear in the demonic knight's eyes. What else could possibly terrify him like that? Without a doubt, it has to be the presence of the demon in his arm threatening to consume his mind. Remembering how helpless he looked when the demon tried to hijack his body, the Inquisitor spoke with utmost seriousness. Don't doubt the light that still exists within him, and don't let fear win, because the wicked will exploit those cracks to devour us. I lack the ability to purify his arm, nor do I possess the power to save his soul, and I don't even have the eloquence to offer him comforting words. The more she spoke, the more inadequate and insecure she felt. Yet her eyes remained filled with unwavering resolve as she stated, even so, I still want to soothe the demonic knight's fear. I want to believe in his goodwill, the part of him he protected from the demon. With the combat power I wield, I will protect his willpower. Hearing her heartfelt confession, Oliver offered a gentle smile. She nodded slightly, stepping forward to follow behind her. Even with all my shortcomings, I suppose I should try lending a hand as well. Hearing that, the Inquisitor chimed in excitedly, looking forward to working with you, Archmage. The two of them headed together toward where he had fled. Why aren't they following me anymore? A system notification popped up. Gloomy omens. Travel to the temple. Find the traitors inside the temple. I can't just waltz into the temple all by myself. Sunlight beamed down over the magnificent temple. Inside the temple, the familiar silhouettes of two people stood upon the raised dais. The people gathered inside the temple noticed him, leaning casually against the wall, murmuring angrily among themselves. Why did the divine messenger bring someone reeking of such intense dark chi along with him? He isn't even trying to hide that terrifying demonic aura at all. Hearing the noisy murmurs below, the Inquisitor slammed her mace hard against the desk, shouting, silence. She demanded seriously, has everyone assembled? The head bishop spoke up solemnly. Yes, aside from 7 people we couldn't establish contact with, everyone else is present. Her sharp gaze swept across the crowd below. Very well. Starting from this exact moment, in the name of an Inquisitor of heresy, the tribunal officially begins. The people standing below were left completely dumbfounded and speechless. Everyone present shall be judged for their sins, and those who are innocent shall be granted their freedom. Standing right beside her, he slowly drew his sword from its scabbard. Her cold voice rang out, "Those sacrilegious wretches who dare impersonate the servants of the divine shall face the rightful judgment of justice." She glared angrily down at the terrified crowd below.